throttle. That's it. Full throttle. There we go. Where's the chat room? There it is. Welcome in to the Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this live every day, Monday through Friday, round about the noon o'clock hour, from the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E-Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. It's a rant. That's what it is. A stream of consciousness rant performed by me. What is a stream of consciousness rant? Well, a stream of consciousness is essentially just an uninterrupted flow of thoughts that are neither governed nor filtered by any, social restraints or anything like that. It's a free ballin', whatever is next in my mind, I'm going to say. Now, it's not just about random junk, right? I'm not a crazy man. I mean, I am, but I'm not a crazy man just sitting here ranting like I'm on a street corner in Manhattan. No. What I do is I break the whole show down. I wake up very early and I look at the world. I read the papers. I watch the morning shows and I compile a list of all of the stories, pop culture issues, trends, whatever it is that people are talking about. And I create this list and we perform this stream of consciousness rant in 4 quarters. Okay. So we do have some guardrails. We do have some box that we perform in. The first quarter, we call that antecedently on this day. It's just this day in history, or previously on November the 11th, which is what today is. Happy November 11th. It's a magical day. I cherry pick some events that have occurred on this day that have helped shape our understanding of this particular day. And then we move on. Quarter 2 is birthdays. People born on this day. Are they cool? Do we say happy birthday or do we just go tell them to kick rocks? Do they suck? Maybe they do. Historical figures, celebrities, sometimes they're even dead. That's quarter 2, birthdays. That brings us to quarter 3. Quarter 3, segment 3, that's called the deads. This is where we take a look at people who, just like our people who were born on this day, only the exact opposite. These are the people who died on this day. Celebs, notable quotables, historical figures, what have you. Here's what we do in quarter 3, though. We look at these people, we take a quick gander at their life's accomplishments, or at least as far as we understand them, and we decide, where did they go? Did they ascend upon death to heaven, or were they banished to hell because they were a son of a bitch in life? That's quarter 3. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, trends, all the stuff that's happening today, the issues that people are talking about, and that's what this show is. It's current events driven talk radio the way most talk radio is not allowed to be. Most talk radio, all talk radio. Why? Why do I say that? Because talk radio, if you're on the radio, the kind of people who do this job and have health insurance, that kind of radio, you're only allowed to talk about sports. If you're going to do talk, I mean, you can play the hits. And I don't understand that. Do people playing music on the radio think that the general public has no idea what Spotify is or Pandora or whatever, Amazon Music? Anyway, doesn't matter. If you want to do talk on the radio, you can only do sports or you can only do politically partisan talk. There's the right conservatives. They've got a lockhold on it, and it's because of advertising and just demographic targeting. It's just, trust me, I've been in the meetings. So I do this kind of talk. This is lifestyle talk. I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left. I'm someone normal. I don't know what I am. You people decide. You know what? Isn't that how it used to be with your pundits, with your talk show hosts, your newscasters? You didn't know what the hell they were. You didn't really care because it wasn't really an issue what they were. Now, I'm telling you, everybody, you got to declare who you voted for, and you got to come up with reasons why you're an asshole if you didn't vote for that person. So we do this every day for 3 years here on the Radio Misfits Network. Welcome to the party if you're new. Say hi to the chat room. We got Peter in the chat room. We've got Bill in the chat room. We got Al. We got Jen. We got Jeff. We're at JeffCon 1. Look at that. I say that because wasn't Jeff missing? Didn't we have a missing Jeff for a couple of days? I don't know, Jeff. Jeff's got a life. He's got shit he's got to do. We got Adam in the chat room. Who else do we have? Al is here. So, of course, we got CC and the Sports Bros, ladies and gentlemen. Posted a new episode over the weekend. Let's see here. Who else do we have? Peter said Peter Bill. Okay, everybody's counted for. A couple of missing people. So let me run down a list of really strange things that have happened to me since Kelly Moore died. Many of you know me from my previous show on the radio, the Pugs and Kelly Show. For 15 years, well, actually almost 20 if you count Chicago. We hosted a talk show. She was my partner. She was my friend. She was like my big sister. And it always bothered her when I called her my big sister because she was only a month older than me. But I made her think she was much older than me. She died. In life, here's the interesting thing about when my partner Kelly died a couple months back. There were no questions in my mind about what she wanted. I knew exactly what she wanted because we were dark, her and I. We got into some dark conversations on the radio and then, just in general in life. I know I was the guy that was supposed to pull the plug for like many years. I was like the guy who got to choose that because we had spoken so deeply about what we wanted in death and what we expected and what our hopes were. And one of the things, because of these conversations, she used to always tease me that if she died first, she was going to do two things. One, she was going to, from time to time, not all the time, because it wasn't really something she would say she was into, but from time to time, she would watch me take showers. Not because it was sexual on her end, but only because she knew, having said that if she did die, which she did, that would freak me out for a month. And it did. It freaked me out for a month. Thinking she's probably looking at me. Why are you looking at me? Forget about masturbating. I haven't done that in months. The other thing she always said that she was going to do was she said she was going to be a poltergeist. Were she to die first? And let me tell you, that was not something anybody took seriously because nobody thought that the physical fitness crazed, super healthy, counts and considers everything she puts into her body. Nobody ever thought that she would die first, but she did. So she told me she was going to come back. She was going to be a poltergeist and she was going to screw with things. She's going to make my life not miserable, just irritating. One of the things that she knew about me was she knew that I hated taking care of little things. I got to call an electrician because that light hasn't worked in months, right? And I never call the electrician. Or, okay, we're just not going to use the upstairs bathroom. I know, I'll call a plumber. That kind of stuff. Since that bitch died, let me tell you something. The night that she died, a cabinet door fell off a brand new cabinet. This place is probably that I'm living in is probably 2-3 years old, and it's not cheap. It's nice. Cabinet door comes right off. Opened it, came right off the hinges. And we're talking solid oak. And when it came down heavy because it's not just, like I said, some cheap apartment cabinet door. This is a nice Highland Park duplex cabinet door, rehab cabinet door. Very nice. Right off. Okay. Then our air conditioning went out. Yeah, then the air conditioning went out at the place. Went out. It was out forever. And then they fixed it, and it was good. And then the air conditioning went out again over at the place, and they came back and they fixed it, and that was good, and we were all happy. And then the air conditioning went out again 3 times. See, the first time they fixed it, and then it went out again. They came back. They said, oh, it's because this thing is broken. So then it was out for a long time because you see that thing needed to be brought in from, I don't know, somewhere else because apparently you don't make that thing in America. So it had to be 2 weeks of no air conditioning. And then that thing came and then they put that thing in. And then 2 weeks later, the air conditioning went out again. You know why? Because here's what they found out. There's a recall on that thing that we waited 2 weeks to get from God knows where. Anyway, the air conditioning is working fine now. Then the internet went out last week. Oh, the internet's been going out off and on since she died, just at the most irritating times too. And by irritating times, what I mean by this is at 3 o'clock in the morning. And you know why she would do it at 3 o'clock in the morning? Because she would completely understand that maybe there's nobody watching. But if there is somebody watching TV at 3 o'clock in the morning, taking TV away from them at 3 o'clock in the morning is the worst thing you can do to them. What else they gonna do? Read? Nobody's gonna read. If you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's because you can't sleep, and the only thing you have is TV. So she's gonna take the internet away from you. So you can't do that. So the internet went out, and then they came and they fixed the internet. Apparently there was a problem with the modem. Then the internet went out again on Friday. Oh, the internet went out again on Friday. And now it's because there's an electrical problem in the garage. So now we need an electrician to come out because the box that maintains the internet at the house is in the garage where there's a power failure. And so the internet doesn't work. So here's what I did, Kelly. Fuck you, Kelly. You think I'm going to ruin my day waiting for an electrician? Hell no. I have extension cords, and we are running all of that shit off the kitchen. Got extension cords running through the garage. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe in ghosts or anything like that, but I think that bitch is fucking with me. Fracking, excuse me. I promised I wasn't going to swear anymore. She's totally effing with me. She is totally effing with me. All right, how you guys doing? Did you have a good weekend? I had a pretty low-key weekend. What did I do this weekend? I'm trying to think. Nothing. And that's why it was a great weekend. Nothing. Watched football yesterday. We'll talk about football. Got a lot of thoughts on football. We'll talk both NFC North for me. And we're going to definitely talk a little bit of NFC East. And our division right here. A whole bunch of stuff we'll get into. I'm trying to think if is there anything else that I need to get into right here at the beginning, or should we just start? Maybe we should just start. What do you say? All right. It is the Rant, and welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 11th day of November, year of our Lord, 2024. It's 316 days already gone. 316 days gone in the year 2004. That means 50, the big 50, 50 remaining till New Year's Eve. Holy shit. That is nothing. 50 is nothing. You know how I know that's nothing? Because it seems like just a blink ago I remember going, there's only 100 days till the election. Can you believe it? There's only 100 days. And that's twice as long as 50. I think. Let's see here. Let's do quarter one. Antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day is a look back at all the days that have shaped our understanding of what this day is. It is previously on November the 11th. All right, let's start. Antecedently on this day in the year 1620, the Mayflower Compact is signed in what is now Provincetown Harbor near Cape Cod. Excuse me. Mayflower Compact. That was like the Pilgrims. They come over and they're like, all right, we're going to live here now, but there's got to be some rules. So that's what it is. The Mayflower Compact is basically like a list of rules and laws for the new Plymouth Rock Mayflower colony. Is that what it was? I don't know. Antecedently on this day, 1620 is when that all went down. Antecedently on this day in the year 1889, the state of Washington is admitted as the 42nd state of these here United States. Welcome to the party, Washington. We already kind of got one, but okay, whatever. We'll just call the other one DC. I hate that. That's just people. Here's being an American life hack. Yeah, my sister, she moved to Washington. Which one? Just call the other one DC. Okay, it's easier. DC, Washington is Washington. That's a lot to say. DC is easier. Just whenever somebody says Washington, just assume the state. Okay, can we just do this? I always do this. I find it's made my life easier, although, it's not something that comes up all the time. But when it does come up, I'm like, DC. I'm going to Washington. Which one? Just the states. If I say Washington, I mean the states. You mean the capital? I mean, no, that's DC. Let's just call that DC. Let's drop Washington altogether from Washington, D.C., and just make it easier. Because on this day in 1889, they named a state Washington. Antecedently on this day in 1911, many cities in the Midwestern United States break their record highs and lows on the same day. as a strong cold front rolls through. All right, so get this. So for November, that sounds impressive. Like if the place you live set the all-time heat record and the all-time cold record on the same day, that would be hard to believe if it was like July, right? Or January. Like you're telling me like the hottest day in your town's history, it was actually in January. That's a fluke. But November, November has a lot of crossover. It's not winter yet. We're still hanging on to summer to some degree. So I don't think I'm that impressed by that. Imagine that happens today though. Imagine some kind of weird ass weather phenomena occurs where like St. Louis, which is, I'm just going to say Midwestern cities. So let's say we're like St. Louis experiences in 2024, they experience the warmest day ever in St. Louis. And then in like 10 hours, the coldest day ever in St. Louis. What if that happened today? Oh, people would be like, oh, global warming. Oh, this is obvious. But what about this? It happened in 1911. That was over 100 years ago. It happened in, Wow, that's just proof that it was coming. All right. I don't know. Look, I'm an environmentalist. I am. But, antecedently on this day in the year 1982, the Space Shuttle Columbia launches from the Kennedy Space Center. Mission STS-5. This was, of course, the very first operational mission of the Space Shuttle program. Oh, 1982, I'm like, in this day in 82, I'm like 13. I'm a little dork. I'm like a little space dork at 13. Coming off Star Wars, right? And look, we weren't doing Apollo missions anymore. That was all stuff from when I was really little and like the foundation of my origin story as a little space nerd, being born on July 20th and all that. But I didn't really get to experience any of that. And then like Star Wars explodes and it's like, wow, space is cool. So like I kind of combined like the two. Then we had the shuttle program and we were all very excited because the shuttle program was the first significant NASA ongoing space program, space exploration program in years since the end of the Apollo moon missions. So I was very excited. 12, 13 years old. I woke up real early. I remember I'm watching the space shuttle launch. It went up. It was so cool. Things that we were promised with the space shuttle, like all the early animation and graphics. They're like, you can launch guns and missiles. And they showed like the doors opening and like missiles. Like big Star Wars-y kind of shit. That's what we were told on this day in 1982. That's what we were promised. That's what little 13-year-old me was promised. What I didn't know is that I was getting a Ford F-150. That's what it was. It's a flying saucer version of a Ford F-150. That's what the space shuttle was. That thing was stupid. That thing, and they're like, well, it was never designed to be. I'm like, you promised me at 13 that this thing was going to be badass and that we were going to go traverse the galaxy in it. No, it was designed to shuttle equipment back and forth to the satellites and space stations so that we could maintain a presence. That is not what we were promised with the space shuttles. And because that's all the space shuttles were for 25 years, the American public totally lost interest in the space program, started cutting the budgets, and now all of a sudden we don't even have rockets. Now we got to buy our rockets from billionaires, whatever. Just remember, whatever Elon Musk does in 1,000 years, when they talk about the first man on Mars, they're going to say he was South African. Don't forget that. They're going to say he was South African. Antecedently on this day, in the year 1993, a sculpture honoring women who served in the Vietnam War is dedicated at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. This is Veterans Day. We need to thank all veterans matter. All veterans matter. Is that provocative? Is that it was all veterans? Has anyone ever said that before? Is that even a thing? I don't even know what it means. Here's what I'm thinking though. All right, so they got this. They got a sculpture there on this day in '93. They did this sculpture in Washington D.C. and it's for the women for the women who died in Vietnam. Okay. This is the kind of shit. And I'm not going to overperform this. But see, this is the kind of micro shit that when you really think about it, you're like, wait a second, doesn't that do more bad than good? And by that, what I mean is erecting a monument only to the women. Can't put a man's name on there. No, this one is only for the women. Now, why do they have? Well, they will argue that they have this because were women's names not included in the original Vietnam Memorial Wall? Because here's what I would suggest, and here's what I think is the truly evolved way to do it. Just put women's names on the wall with all of them. But when you single out that women have to have their own memorial, which is good if they were completely ignored. And I can't imagine that they were completely ignored. You're telling me there are no names of women? There were no women in Vietnam? There were no names of female women on the Vietnam Memorial Wall? They're not? But there is, in general, a monument to women who were there. Not men. Can't put a man's name on that one. It's only for women. I mean, that in and of itself is like answering misogyny with what is the opposite of misogyny, where a woman is femigyny. There you go. Don't even know if that's a word. We're gonna call it femigyny. I don't know. I think what you do in 1993 is you go, wait a second, are you telling me that there are no women on the Vietnam Men's Memorial Wall? And if the answer is no, yeah, there's women there, then I say stop it, okay? Stop it. It's only for women. I'm not looking at the chat room, but I imagine Adam Rain is already screaming about my white privilege because him, neither being a woman nor a Vietnam vet is one to always be offended for someone else, which is another reason why that side lost. I'm kidding, Adam. That's right. I promised myself today that if I was going to take off on anybody, it was going to be Jeff. Because we're at JeffCon 1. I don't know why that is. I had a reason. I think he tweeted something. I'm like, I'm not going to respond to that, but I'm going to take it out on Jeff on Monday. We're at JeffCon 1. I don't remember what it was about, so maybe that's why I took off on Adam there. All right, let's keep going. What else do we have here? Okay, so sculpture honoring women. Good for them. Okay, great. This is going to be here forever, and it's going to remind everyone how awful men were. But didn't they change, and didn't it kind of get assimilated? Yes. Okay. So why the statue? To remind people how awful they were. Okay. All right. Remind. That's all it is. Victimhood as political capital. Let's do some birthdays. What do you say? It's people's birthdays. Let's rip on some people who think they're cool. They're having birthdays. All right. Born on this day, year of our Lord, 1821. One of them dudes. That is one of them dudes I don't talk about much, but he's one of them dudes, man. Well, you don't want to look too deeply. I'm talking about as a writer. You got to separate the art from the artist from time to time, and this guy's got a very complicated background. But, man, as a writer, let me tell you a story. So, I've gone on and on about how I like Shakespeare and I like Hemingway. I have always, from a very young age, have been interested in people who seem to have transcended time and age and are essentially masters in whatever the craft is. That's why it's easy to mention names like Hemingway as writing and Shakespeare for writing and plays and all that stuff. Essentially, if you're the kind of person that, Tony Soprano might say, hey, we got a real Shakespeare over here, like that kind of thing. People who have transcended time, their art, their contribution is still noted today. So I've always been interested in those people. And I was way into Ernest Hemingway long before I ever wrote any of his books. Like I read biographies on Ernest Hemingway before I read any Hemingway novels. Same with Shakespeare. And the reason that I was so interested in these people is because of one teacher, and I've talked about him before. His name was Virgil Krapowskis. Virgil Krapowskis was my high school teacher. I had him for all 4 years. Every elective that I could take that this guy took, I signed up for the class. He's a history teacher. He was a Soviet national. He escaped from Russia when he was a kid. A crazy story. Anyway, he once said in class about this person whose birthday it is today. He said, this person is a better writer than Hemingway, but you'll never hear that in this country because he was born in the Soviet Union. And I'm like, holy shit, who's this guy? And that's where I got into our birthday boy, born on this day in 1821, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Every bit as cool. You don't have to read. Yeah, they got American and English translations of his shit. Crime and Punishment. Huh? The Idiot. Okay, The Idiot. Let me tell you about The Idiot. Here would be if somebody's like Dostoevsky, he's such a cool writer. He's funny. He's another one of these guys like Shakespeare, where you can look at any number of things that are created today and you're like, oh, that's Othello. Oh, that's Hamlet. Like I always use the example of Sons of Anarchy. Like that's Hamlet. Oh, that's just that's a rom-com version of Romeo and Juliet, right? So they've taken these stories that Shakespeare did and they've just adapted them for modern times. Well, the exact same thing is true for Dostoevsky. We just don't recognize it because he was a Russian. But The Idiot, excuse me. The Idiot, which is my favorite here. Let me, what year did The Idiot come out? Let me click on Fyodor. Where's The Idiot? All right. Dostoevsky. Hold on. Let me go to his things. Yeah, I can't find it. All right. Doesn't matter. Like a long time ago. The Idiot, the story of Prince Myshkin. Okay. The story of Prince Myshkin has been remade a million times in a million different ways. Most notably, one of my favorite films of all time, Being There. Being There was the last film that Peter Sellers made, okay? Peter Sellers plays a character who is the gardener for a very wealthy, very powerful man. Imagine like a Dick Cheney type, very powerful man. And when he dies alone, except for his gardener. So when the world descends upon this formerly powerful man's estate, they find Peter Sellers, the simple-minded, happy gardener. And they don't know who he is. They don't know he's a gardener. They think that he's someone important. So they begin to treat him extremely important. And his simpleton ways are misinterpreted as being incredibly deep and incredibly... That's the story of Prince Myshkin, okay? That's The Idiot. Fyodor Dostoevsky. Read The Idiot. Check out The Idiot. It's a great book, and you'll be reading this story, this crazy story about a prince who is so inherently good that I don't want to spoil it for you. Anyway, The Idiot. He's not an idiot. They just think he's an idiot because he's good, because he's decent, because he actually cares about his people. Dostoevsky, born on this day in 1821. One of them dudes. Born on this day in 1885, George S. Patton. How perfect is that for Veterans Day? Old bucket of guts and blood. I don't know. What was his nickname? Did Patton have a nickname? Seems like Patton should have a nickname, doesn't he? I don't know. All right. Born on this day in 1885. Happy birthday, you salty son of a bitch, George S. Patton. Born on this day in 1925, Jonathan Winters. Here's what I would say about Jonathan Winters. Legend, icon, national treasure. I understand these are all subjective titles that, art as a way of landing differently on different people. I would say this to Jonathan Winters fans. I would say, Jonathan Winters fans, let me tell you something. Comedy isn't baseball. It's not baseball. Comedy. In baseball, You come up to the plate 10 times and you succeed 3 times, you didn't succeed 7 times. In any other walk of life, that's horrible. But in baseball, if you come up to the plate and you succeed only 3 times out of 10, you're going to the Hall of Fame if you can do that for your entire career. Comedy isn't that. And Jonathan Winters is one of these guys who was frantic, and he was an improv guy. And very much like Robin Williams. I would say to Robin Williams fans as well, comedy isn't baseball. Robin Williams, Jonathan Winters, they get up on stage, like they'd say 100 things, and like 90 of them would just be fucking stupid. And you just think that's stupid. And then they connect on one, and everybody's like, he's a genius. He's a genius. I'm like, he struck out 100 times before he got a base hit. I mean, and that's what I would describe even Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters' greatest hits. They're base hits at best. People that Robin Williams is a genius. Why? Because he's frantic and on cocaine and just going, brrr. That's not genius. I don't think a problem with people who do cocaine. No problem with that. George Carlin and Richard Pryor were also on cocaine, and they're way better than Richard or than Robin Williams. Robin Williams' stand-up is terrible. I'm sorry. Do you want to know what Robin Williams is? One of the great dramatic actors, and I only mention Robin Williams because he was so in love with Jonathan Winters. He made Jonathan Winters a star. He gave Jonathan Winters his comeback in the 1970s after Hollywood had essentially kicked Jonathan Winters to the curb because he was nuts. Jonathan Winters was in and out of mental institutions in the 1960s and 70s. Robin Williams, who grew up loving Jonathan Winters when he had Mork and Mindy, decided to bring Jonathan Winters out of obscurity and cast him as his son, Mirth. That's right. The much older Jonathan Winters played Robin Williams' son, Mirth, on Mork and Mindy. So that's why it's exhausting. I'll tell you, man, and this is in the prime. And the prime of Robin Williams, if I'm watching like, Jay Leno in 1995, and he's like, man, we're going to bring out Robin Williams. Click. I'm gone. I don't need that. David Letterman, hey, our good friend Robin Williams is click. I'm gone. The worst guest in talk show history is Robin Williams. Talk about nothing. And then all these, like all of his like really cliched and stereotypical. Robin Williams sucked. But not as an actor. That dude's one of the greatest dramatic actors of this or any generation in Hollywood history. He is an A-list icon. The very idea that Robin Williams died without having an entire mantle filled with freaking trophies just shows how little respect comedians get. Because of the fact that he was a comedian is the reason why people didn't look at him as seriously as a dramatic actor. And you know what? They screwed up. Robin Williams is incredible as a dramatic actor. All right, moving on. It's Jonathan Winters' birthday. He's fine. He's not my thing. And like I said, comedy isn't baseball, okay? You got to connect one. You got to keep hitting, man. You said 3 funny things. You've been on stage for a half hour. You said 3 funny things and then like a million things that I have no idea what you were talking about because you're crazy. Born on this day in 1948. Here's one of them that guy actors. This guy, you ever seen this guy before? Of course you have. This guy was in everything. 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. He's probably dead now. His name is Vincent Schiavelli. Remember this guy? Look at him. He's one of them that guy actors. Is he dead? I don't know if he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. There you go. Well, I don't mean to be happy about it. He's dead. Look at him. Yeah, okay. So how do you not recognize that dude? That was one of the 5 people in Hollywood that they allowed to be ugly in the 1970s. He was like, we need another ugly guy. What's Vincent Schiavelli doing? Because usually in Hollywood, even women were not allowed to be ugly. Women were not allowed to be ugly in Hollywood until Kathy Bates. That was it. Kathy Bates. You want to talk about broken ceilings? Kathy Bates is the one who did that. And you know it's true because certainly there have been overweight, middle-aged, unbangable women in Hollywood before. but they were almost always aging stars who were once young ingenue types who were sexy, who are now 40 and getting work. No, Kathy Bates was never famous. Kathy Bates wasn't famous until she was like dumpy and 30 and, you know, not casting couch Kathy, right? That's not what she was. So anyway, now we allow some unattractive women in Hollywood. They allow it. I don't know who they are, whatever. But this guy in the 1970s, yeah, he was one of the few guys that was allowed to be ugly. Played a lot of monsters, played a lot of comedy roles. Oh yeah, was he Billy? Is he Billy from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Am I burying the lead on Vincent Schiavelli? Oh my God. All right, there you go. Look at him. How awesome is he? Happy birthday. I like that guy. He's got this monstrous kind of... says, wasn't he on Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I don't know. Probably. He's one of them guys. He's been in everything. Born on this day in 1948, Vincent Schiavelli. Born on this day in 1950. I got a funny story about this guy. So his name's Jim Peterick. Okay, just a dude from Berwyn, which is a little enclave from Chicago. It's basically Chicago, but for some reason they get to call themselves Berwyn. Just a dude from Berwyn, local rock star in Chicago, local guy, right? Plays in a lot. Like, he's been around forever. The Jim Peterick Band, right? And I'm like, you know, growing up, you hear it on the radio, and special guest, the Jim Peterick Band. And I'm like, cool. And then I started, I don't know who he is, right? He's just some guy. I thought, you know, local guy, still grinding it out. So I'm like 21, 22 years old, and I start working in Chicago radio, and I'm working at the Midwest rock station. Like, and this station has a really big relationship with this guy, Jim Peterick. It's one of the reasons why I knew who he was. Because, I don't know, he was always hanging out, and the DJs, the coolest DJs are always talking about, yeah, man, ran into Jim. He's awesome. And I'm like, well, I love this so much about this guy. So I start working at the station, and I'm there for a bunch of time. And this was actually, I want to say, very early on, so not a bunch of time, but very early on in my turn. Yes, because I was an intern, and I was greeting guests. He came on to be on the morning show, this Jim Peterick guy whose birthday it is today. And I went and got him. You know, the elevator door opens up. I'm the intern. I'm like, come on, Mr. Peterick, I'm going to take you on back. He's like, oh, I've been here many times. I'm like, I bet you have, more times than me. Ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, you know, you're going to be on with Kevin, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving the whole rundown and all that kind of stuff. And then I sit there with him for a second, and I go, what are you going to talk about? And he goes, oh, it's like the 15th or 10th anniversary, or whatever it was. I don't know what it was. It was the anniversary of Eye of the Tiger. They're re-releasing that. And I go, oh, the song from the Rocky movie. And he's like, yeah. And I go, and I started to laugh. I go, oh my God, is that cheesy? Well, Jim Peterick's the guy who wrote that song, right? I did not know that. I did not know that he was the founder of Survivor. I thought that he was just a local music guy. So I went and I told my producer, Doc, and I go, yeah, I don't know, he wants to talk about Eye of the Tiger or something. And Doc is like, oh yeah, well, of course. Okay, so make sure you have that. And I go, wait, what? And he's like, Pugs, he wrote that song. And I go, oh shit. And I go, I think I made fun of it. So turned into a big thing on the air where Kevin was like, yeah, so you don't like Eye of the Tiger. And Jim's like, well, bought my summer home in Madison, I'll tell you that. And I'm like, God, that song sucks. Because it was the 90s, right? It was the 90s shock radio. So I got to come in and I was like, that song sucks, man. But then he wrote another song that also was very successful. It was number 2 in America in 1972 called Vehicle. And I'm like, and then Kevin's like, what about this song? And I'm like, this is you too? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, this is awesome. All right, this song is awesome. Eye of the Tiger sucks. That song's gay, is probably what I said. I'm like, this one, Vehicle. You guys know that song, Vehicle? That song's badass. Ew. This is the other one. This is the other song that Jim wrote. And by the way, long story short, became very good friends with him. He's a good dude. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Jimmy. Jim Peterick. Born on this day in 1950. Here, hold on. Let me find you. Because Vehicle, okay, so Eye of the Tiger, imagine that. You're the dude who wrote Eye of the Tiger. Just think about the constant year in, year out uses, and he has sold that song to absolutely everything. And oh my God, just the money year in and year out from Eye of the Tiger alone. But this is the other one. This is the other one that he wrote that I really like. This is a banger. Hold on. Here it goes. All right, check this out.
A stranger in the black sedan, won't you hop inside my car?
It's a song about molesting. It's a song about picking up an underage kid. I'm the friendly stranger in the black sedan. Won't you come inside my car? I don't know. Anyway, happy birthday to the great Jim Peterick. He's cool. He's a cool guy. All right, let's keep going. Who else is having birthdays today? Born on this day, 1953, another guy who I'm a big fan of. Love this guy. Singer-songwriter. Andy Partridge was born on this day in 1953. No, of course not. He's no relation to the Partridge family. What's the matter with you? He's Andy Partridge. He's the lead singer of XTC, the 80s and maybe a little bit into the 90s. I don't know what happened to XTC. Andy Partridge is an incredible songwriter. Oh my God, his lyrics are so cool. If you like XTC, Peter Pumpkinhead, Mayor of Simpleton, Dear God, the list goes on. This man can write a song. This man can turn a lyric. XTC was pegged to be like the next biggest band in the world coming out of England. And guess what? In the middle of all of that hype, Andy Partridge said, yeah, I don't fly. So they never played any shows. They never played any shows anywhere other than like England. I don't know, maybe a couple, but yeah, they didn't tour. XTC they never hit the road, never went. I don't know, was it he didn't fly or he had stage fright? I might get that confused with Liz Phair. Liz Phair's problem was that she had stage fright. I think Andy Partridge of XTC, he just didn't fly. He refused to fly anywhere to perform his music. Born on this day, 1953. Happy birthday, Andy Partridge. I love XTC. I love that band. Born on this day in 1962, somebody else who I can full-throatedly say I love. Can she or does she need to clear her throat? Because it is Demi Moore's birthday. Demi Moore with that raspy... Remember Demi Moore's voice when she was like 20? It was weirdly sexy because it was someone who looked like Demi Moore at 20, but sounded like your Aunt Rose. It was a very strange sort of Demi Moore. Demi Moore sounded like this. If you go and you look at any old Demi Moore movies, she was 20, she was fresh, she looked clean. She didn't look at all like someone who would sound like this. But this is what Demi Moore's voice was. I don't even know what she sounds like anymore. Is it even worse? Because I imagine Demi Moore smoked. And I imagine over the years, 65 or whatever she is. What is she? Demi Moore, born on this day in 1962. What is that? Was she 62? I don't know. I can't do the math. Don't want to. Got to be honest. 20. Hold on. Hold on. She was 40. She's 60. I don't know. Whatever. She's like 60-something. I can easily click on it. See the smoke coming out of my eyes? Here's what we're going to do. Demi Moore holds a very solid place in my history. I love Demi Moore. For about 5 years, man. For about 5 years. Demi Moore got replaced by Winona Ryder. She did. I went straight from Bo Derek to Demi Moore to Winona Ryder. I think that's seriously, I think it was Jacqueline Smith, Charlie's Angels. Jacqueline Smith. Wait, who did it first? Was there a first? Can we go all the way back? Who was the first? Who was the first where a young me went, okay. All right. I don't even know what being gay is, but I'm not that. Who was the first? If I'm being truthful, it's Jacqueline Smith. It's Jacqueline Smith. Kelly Garrett from Charlie's Angels. I think that's it. Yeah, so I think it probably went young me, my obsessions. I think it probably went Jacqueline Smith straight to Bo Derek. That's when puberty kicked in. Oh yeah. Yeah, Bo Derek came on the scene right about the time my hormones started raging. So I was done with the sophisticated fashion model type in Kelly Garrett, and I moved straight to the bar whore. I was like, let's go! I'm 12. I'm into Bo Derek now. Then for a period of time after Bo Derek, I kind of calmed down a little, and I was really into Deborah Foreman. You guys know who Deborah Foreman is? Yeah, no one else did either. Which is why I think maybe, on some level, the fantasy was like, I got a shot at her in real life because nobody knows who she is. Deborah Foreman, of course, was the star of the film Nicolas Cage's first big breakout film, Valley Girl. Deborah Foreman played the Valley Girl. Am I ranking my youthful crushes? Yes! Youthful crush draft. All right. So where are we? We are Deborah Foreman. That's right, Deborah Foreman, Valley Girl. And then I went from Deborah Foreman straight to Demi Moore. Demi Moore was big for me for a number of years. And then into Winona Ryder. And then that was kind of it. Yeah, I think that by that point, porn had risen and like they were the mainstreaming of like sex actresses. And it all just got muddied. And I was getting married by that point anyway. So, but yeah, that's going to be it. Jacqueline Smith, Bo Derek, Deborah Foreman, Demi Moore, Winona Ryder. Look at that. Anyway, it is Demi Moore. Demi Moore, man. Demi Moore's birthday. Demi Moore. You ever hear about like Demi Moore's childhood? Oh, she was such trash, man. If she didn't become like the biggest A-list movie star in the world between 1985 and 1995, if that's not what Demi Moore became, she'd have been a dead hooker in a Vegas motel. That's what Demi Moore would have been. That was her other path. She came from like super trash. She came from like super like poor trailer life. Mom was like a crazy drug addict, abusive. She was like molested. Demi Moore, she was like molested by everybody. Yeah, she came from some places. So in honor of that, let's do a Demi Moore draft. Have we ever done a Demi Moore draft? One of my youthful crushes. All right, Demi Moore. Let's see here. She is great. She is amazing. I don't know if she's a great actress because, quite frankly, going through her filmography and trying to do a draft, I was like, holy shit, she's only done one good movie. She's done a lot of movies. She's done a lot of movies that we went and saw and then walked out and went, it's an average. She's got a lot of C+ movies. A lot of C+ movies. She hasn't got a lot of bad ones. Like, there's not like a whole bunch of like, she does bombs. No, but it's all like, like G.I. Jane. Yeah, it's a C+ movie. Yeah, whatever. Well, we're going to do a draft anyway. All right, the draft is done just like the NFL chooses college players. The first film that I'll be mentioning in Demi Moore's filmography will be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and we will do 5. So let's continue or let's begin. Number 1, the first pick off the board in the Demi Moore draft, I will be selecting About Last Night, the character of Deb. I love About Last Night. About Last Night, Rob Lowe, Demi Moore, Elizabeth Perkins, Jim Belushi. Very funny Jim Belushi. Jim Belushi at his funniest, I dare say. Pick 2 off the Demi Moore draft. Pick 2, we're at selection 2. First selection was About Last Night. She played the character of Deb. With the second pick in the Demi Moore draft, we're going with A Few Good Men. Some might say Demi Moore's got a few good movies. I would say, nope, this is the only one. This is the only movie I think that's good. Maybe you can make an argument for Ghost if you're so inclined, but all the other ones are just stupid Hollywood entertainment movies that are fine. They're just fine. C+ movies. Not about, or not A Few Good Men though. A Few Good Men is a great movie. Great movie. That's like worthy of like Oscar. Did it win Oscars? Probably. Pick number 3 in the Demi Moore draft. I'm gonna go St. Elmo's Fire. That's right. St. Elmo's Fire. Oh my God, you guys. Never try to watch St. Elmo's Fire with a modern 12-year-old. No. I tried to watch St. Elmo's Fire with my son. He's 12. When he was 12. He's 15 now. I tried to watch it because I want to go through that whole Brat Pack kind of thing with him. Because we love the John Hughes movies. He's all in on the John Hughes movies. Doesn't matter. He's like, Dad, this shit's funny. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's timeless. Funny. But no, he was like, he was out like in like 15 minutes of St. Elmo's Fire. He just turned to me and he goes, Dad, I hate all of these characters. I'm like, okay, they are very 80s, narcissistic, shallow, yuppie wannabe. There is nothing to like, but I kept pointing at Demi Moore and I'm like, look, check it out. Check it out though. Look at Demi Moore. Isn't she super hot? And he's like, yeah, that actress is attractive. And I'm like, no, dude, that's Demi Moore. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, dude, that's Demi Moore. And he's like, I don't know who that is. And now we're screaming at each other. And I'm like, how did I raise someone who doesn't know who Demi Moore is? And then he's screaming back, how did I get a father who thinks that's something that's a priority? That's a very real fight we had. Anyway, number 3 off the board, St. Elmo's Fire, Demi Moore. Let's go with the 4th pick off the board in the Demi Moore draft. Blame It on Rio. I don't think a lot of you may not know the film Blame It on Rio. I didn't know any better. I mean, now I know better. Probably shouldn't put it on the list then if I know better. Back then I didn't know any better. Blame It on Rio came out in like 1984. I was like 15 years old. Here's the story. 2 dudes who are in business together, Michael Caine and somebody else, they're in business together. They go down to Rio. They go down to Rio for like a vacation or something. And they decide to bring their 2 daughters. One of the dude's daughter is Demi Moore. The other dude's daughter is Who Cares? Because this was Demi Moore's breakout movie. And basically it's about how it's a Lolita story. Okay, there you go. Another story that's taken from the Michael Caine basically gets all hot and horny for Demi Moore, who is the daughter, and the underage daughter, by the way, of his like, it's all about like an old middle-aged man having sex with a 15-year-old. And it's great. And that's why it's number 4 in my Demi Moore draft. Blame It on Rio. Oh, the things they could do, the things that Hollywood would greenlight in the 1980s. Imagine that pitch meeting. So Michael Caine, who's almost 60, he goes down to Rio with his business partner, who's got this really hot 14-year-old daughter. And you see, Michael Caine, oh, it's going to be a great scene. It's hysterical. Remember, he's like 60, and she's about 14. There's this scene where she comes out of the water in a bikini, and Michael Caine, oh, it's over for him. He spends the rest of the vacation trying to covertly have sex with his best friend's daughter. It's going to be great. Hollywood in 1983 or whatever was like, do it. And those are the kind of movies, those are the kind of formative films that I have from growing up. Blame It on Rio, number 4 in the Demi Moore draft. Number 5 is One Crazy Summer. I had to throw in One Crazy Summer because it's one of my sleeper radar favorite films of all time. One Crazy Summer, Demi Moore plays a hitchhiker. She gets picked up, and John Cusack is going to hang out with her now all summer, and she's a super hot but really sort of X Factor, wild card, troublemaker hitchhiker. But it's okay. We put up with it because she's hot, because she's like 19-year-old Demi Moore. We're like, okay, she can set that liquor store on fire. Look at how hot she is. Anyway, One Crazy Summer, great film, number 5 off the board in the Demi Moore draft. A couple of free agent invites to camp. We're going to invite Wisdom. We're going to invite The Seventh Sign. We're going to invite Ghost. We're going to invite Indecent Proposal. We're going to invite Disclosure. And we're going to invite Striptease. So concludes our Demi Moore film draft. Demi Moore, born on this day in 1962. Born on this day in 1964, Callista Flockhart. Who's that? I know, right? Who's that? Well, who's that? You can call her Mrs. Harrison Ford. Are they still together? Callista Flockhart and Harrison Ford? I hope so. I like that. Callista Flockhart. She was Ally McBeal. Now she's Mrs. Harrison Ford. She didn't do much. She didn't do it. I don't know. She didn't do anything. She didn't do anything before Ally McBeal. She was an absolute, complete, abject unknown. And then all of a sudden, there's a show called Ally McBeal, and she's so cute. Oh, she was such a little cutie patootie. She's probably like, 4'1", probably weighed, 38 pounds. She was so cute. She was like this tiny little, I'm Ally McBeal. And she was cute. She wasn't sexy. This was sort of like the antithesis of like what we were getting with Baywatch and all the other things in the 90s. She was beautiful, but not let's bang her. She was more like, oh, America's got a new girlfriend. And that's kind of who Callista Flockhart became with Ally McBeal. And that show was only on for a couple of years. I think it fizzled out. And then she did nothing. And now all of a sudden she's like Mrs. Harrison Ford. It's kind of like Amy Irving. Amy Irving was famous for, or not Amy Irving. She was the first one to do this. Two people have done this to Steven Spielberg. Amy Irving first. Now it's Kate Capshaw, I think. Anyway, Kate Capshaw was a big actress. She had a whole career. And then she was like, it's getting hard finding jobs. I don't want to be an actress anymore. And it's Kate Capshaw, right? She's probably making money. She was famous. And then she met Steven Spielberg. She's like, I'm not doing movies anymore. I'm going to be Mrs. Steven Spielberg. Good. She gave it up. She's like, I don't need to do the grind. Kate Capshaw. So anyway. There you have it. I would do that. Callista Flockhart. Just don't need to be I'm just going to go be Mrs. Harrison Ford. Are they still together? Chat room? Anyone in the chat room know? Peter, why is your wife shaking her head? What did I do wrong? What's going on? Adam. Mason couldn't feel it burning in him. Let's see here. All right. Born on this day in 1974. This is probably the biggest birthday of the day, and we're just going to gloss over it because who cares? Whatever. He's fine by me. I don't really have an opinion. Leonardo DiCaprio. Happy birthday. Remember What's Eating Gilbert Grape when he played that severely retarded kid? Remember that? That was awesome. He was so good. That was when, I remember people, I remember feeling this way. By the way, I love that movie, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. It's just such a good vibe movie. Well, it's troubling, don't get me wrong, but I won't spoil it for you. Johnny Depp, big giant fat lady, and Leonardo DiCaprio is a severely retarded young man. I remember seeing that movie and going, "Oh, okay." So that's the little baby from. Remember, he was on that ABC sitcom. What was that ABC sitcom with Kirk Cameron? I can't think. Alan Thicke. Yeah, can't think of it. Anyway, I'm like, oh, that's the kid from that. And then it was like, you see what Leonardo DiCaprio does with his career, and then you go back to where it kind of started as him playing that tour de force performance as that little retarded kid, and it's just amazing. He's just amazing. He's just undeniably super talented as an actor. And he likes chicks. Good for him, man. Good for him. Leo's going to be like, what Leo's going to be like? Leo's going to be like Cary Grant. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Cary Grant was well into his 70s, and he was showing up at the Oscars with 25-year-olds. It's great. That's how the world got Diane Cannon. Diane Cannon was just some bimbo that started showing up on Cary Grant's arm. I think he married her. I think he might have even married her. But that's what Leo's going to be doing. Leo's going to, like, just at 75, Leo's going to look great. I know he's not looking great now. Leo's like going through this thing which all men in their 50s do, where it's like, well, I'm at the awkward stage again. There are a couple of awkward stages in life. And the 50s for a man that's where they either dedicate themselves to rock solid abs and, become this silver devil in their 60s, or they just, gradually become awful. Marlon Brando, right? Marlon Brando just gradually became awful. Cary Grant in his 50s, he kind of, decided that he was going to go Clooney. Clooney's a good example. Cary Grant, I'm using Cary Grant. I could be using Clooney because they're the exact same Hollywood type. Anyway, my point is this. I think that Leonardo DiCaprio he's getting fat now. People are like, Leo's fat. I think he can get his shit together. And I think he's going to be like the new Cary Grant. He's going to be rolling into the Oscars in 20 years with like gray hair, black glasses, but looking like the guy who invented movies, just like that kind of thing. Happy birthday, Leonardo DiCaprio. Born on this day in 1974. Born on this day in 1977. We'll leave it with this. This is another one of them guy actors. I'll tell you, I don't know if this guy is famous. I don't know if he's been in a whole bunch of things, but I do know that if I am watching something and I'm watching the opening credits and they say this guy's name, I'm like, I'm watching. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Scoot McNairy. This guy. Hold on, let's make it big. Is that bigger? There we go. Look at this guy. You guys know who this guy is? He's a character actor. He's that guy. He's awesome in everything. Now, I've only been seeing him now for about 10 years, and I caught him early. He was the star of a really good show. I think it was an A&E show. Maybe it was an AMC. I think it was an AMC. Yeah, AMC. It was called Halt and Catch Fire. And it's the story of basically the Silicon Prairie, which is what the area between Dallas and Austin was considered in the early days of personal computing. I mean, now we all know Silicon Valley and all that, but it's about a fictional Dallas computer company in the early 1980s that, is there when the computer thing booms. And Scoot McNairy plays the star, one of the star guys, I guess. You know what you might be able to compare his character to? Because it is very similar. There are some parallels to the relationship between Woz and Jobs. So in that context, in the show, Halt and Catch Fire, which is so good, I would say that Scoot McNairy plays a Woz-like character. There you go. He's also been in a bunch of movies. He's just great. He's just an awesome actor. Scoot McNairy, happy birthday to him. Born on this day, 1977. Okay, let's go. Quarter three. Let's roll through. These are the deads. These are people who died. These are people who died. Adam Reyna pointing out Lee Pace is the other guy. Lee Pace. Lee Pace, we're talking about Halt and Catch Fire, which is, if you've never seen it, I mean, I don't know where to even go to see it. I don't know where it is. I'd like to watch it again. It's very good. It's the story of loosely based, but completely fictionalized. Loosely based on actual companies and actual individuals, but it is about, the greater thing that is true about it is that it shows you exactly the role that North Texas and Dallas in particular played in the personal computer revolution. Halt and Catch Fire. Lee Pace would be the one who would play, I would say, like the Steve Jobs type. And then Scoot McNairy, whose birthday it is, he would play, in my opinion, the Woz type. There you go. It is on Netflix. Adam says it's on Netflix. So there you go, folks. Halt and Catch Fire. Excellent show. I love it. It's really interesting and it's fun. Especially when they all become billionaires. That's when it gets real fun. Because they become billionaires. They go from living in Oak Cliff, right? I'm about to go through a divorce because they turned the power off again, to being like, Steve Wozniak. It's good. Let's see here. All right, let's do some deads. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? First of all, I think this guy, preemptively, he's going to hell. Or is he? Or is he going to hell? Because really, Well, okay. No, it's not a question. Sorry, just came. It's not a question of is he. He is. Because as I say from time to time, not as often as I probably should, but this little segment where we take people who died on this day, and what do I say? We filter them through our own understanding of Christian Judeo beliefs in heaven or hell, right? So by that standard, this son of a bitch is going to hell. Went straight to hell. I'm sure by some other standards, they'd be like, no, he went to Allah. Got on this day in 2004, Yasser Arafat, the founder of the PLO in the Western world, and from our point of view, a horrible, horrible terrorist. He's in hell, right? I mean, Christian Judeo, that's what we say about this. This is our vision, this is our filter. So he's got to go to hell. Not gotta. He's going to hell. Not gotta. Like, well, can we maybe, a loophole? No, I ain't interested in no Yasser Arafat loopholes. He's going to hell. Enough is enough. Then on this day in 2016, Robert Vaughn. I think he's like the man from U.N.C.L.E. or something. I don't know. You guys Google him. I know he's famous and I can picture him in my head, but I don't know anything he did. I don't know, was it heaven or hell? And it's like, he looks like he's trying too hard to be Robert Wagner, and he's not Robert Wagner, because Robert Wagner's awesome. Let's put him in hell. Let's put Robert Vaughn in hell. He's trying too hard to be Robert Wagner, and nobody gets to be Robert Wagner except for Bobby Wagner himself. Who else do we got? Dead on this day in 2021. This one should be easy as well. We'll put him in hell. I don't care that he won a Nobel Prize. I am not putting F.W. de Klerk in heaven, okay? I'm sorry. Oh, Pugs, but he won a Nobel Prize. He won a Nobel Prize for finally ending apartheid. But he was the dude in South Africa. He was the last ruler of a white power Africa. Fuck him is my point. Frack him. Sorry. I don't know how many times I've said the F word. F.W. Clark, he goes to hell. There you go. That's going to do it. We are good. Those are the first 3 quarters, folks. It's time for us now to get into some of the things that are happening today, some of the absolute big deals, some buzzworthy topics. I might have to take a break here in a second. And I know I don't often do it, but from time to time I do it. And the reason is, I heard them when I was ranting about, I think, Robert Vaughn. While I was ranting about how Robert Vaughn ain't Robert Wagner, when I was ranting that, I think I heard the doorbell ring, and that means there's a UPS package waiting out there, so I got to go grab that real quick. Because there ain't nobody here at the e-gallery today, just me. Got to keep it all locked up and all the security on and all that stuff. How's the weather? Is it supposed to be raining? You know what? Should I do that now? Should I just do that now so we can get it out of the way? Why don't we do that now, okay? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. All I got to do is I just got to run around the front of the gallery, open up the door, drag in whatever it is, and then I'll come right back, okay? Appreciate you. Hang on. We will, as they say, we'll be right back. Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Rant. Thank you so much for being patient there. It took a little bit longer than I thought because it wasn't for us. It was for our people right next door. And I had to go quickly run it down there. Not far. Well, I'm probably, next little doorway down. All right. We are in quarter 4, and now it's time. Pugs is dumping a load. Sure. Let me tell you something. You know how they look? I would tell you. You think I wouldn't tell you? You think I have any like shame about that? About natural? I always tell you. If I got to go to the bathroom, I'll tell you if it's going to be a long one or not. All right, let's get into the top story today, and this is the top story today. The top story today is veterans. We make sure that we make it the top story today because I don't think we make it the top story most days. Oh, you go, really? Oh, is Pugs going to just get all sanctimonious now about veterans and how we treat veterans? No, I'm not going to go into it like that. All of that, what you're thinking or what you would expect to hear from me, yes, just go ahead and book that. Pretend I said it. That's how I feel. We shit on our veterans. I worked for a bunch of years for our buddy Rob of Witch Kitty, the band Witch Kitty. Rob's one of these, he's up there in Silicon Valley. Rob and I were friends years and years ago, and then we just by happenstance reconnected when he started this charity that helped veterans. And I worked for him for a period of time. And then when I moved to Chicago, I started working with some other charities, and it's how I started working with charities in general. But Rob and I have maintained close friends. He hangs out in the chat room from time to time as Witch Kitty. We come from the same neighborhood. We grew up. We were kids together, essentially. I managed a band as I was like a 20-year-old. He was like 18. I managed a band he was in. And so, life's divergent paths. We go in different directions. And I got to be honest, I don't give Rob Barr a thought for 20 years, 25 years. Oh, there he is. Look at him right there. And then he pops up just again by happenstance as a guy who runs this veterans organization that I was quite taken by. And look at that. It's run by a guy who used to be the singer and chief songwriter of a band that I 25 years ago managed. What was that band, Rob? Was that Wally? Which one? Was it Wally that you were involved with or daughter Judy? I'm not sure. Maybe Strive and Desire. Yes, those are all bands that I was once a part of trying to foist on the world. Hard to believe they didn't make it. I think Rob was Wally. I think Rob named the band Wally. That feels very Rob. Anyway, they were good. They were actually the best. There it is. Yeah. They were actually the best of all the bands because they were all original material. And as it turns out, Rob is quite talented. And, so anyway, point is this. It was over that period of time and working with a number of veterans groups, first initially here in Dallas and North Texas. And, it's how I got to know Chris Kyle before the old incident at the shooting range. And it's how I became friends with a number of people who still hold important positions with veterans charities here in North Texas and as well in Chicago. When I moved back to Chicago, I started working for some other people and doing some other things. But it has always stunned me. All right. I'm saying this on Veterans Day. It is Veterans Day. When I started doing this, and Rob could probably echo this, when I started working for Rob, trying to create events and raise money and do donations and all that stuff for his veterans charity. When I started doing that, it was because, and everybody knows, I have depression and all the peaks and valleys of life. And I was in an incredibly bad and dark place. And at one point I said to myself, I said, look, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. But if I don't do something that I can at least at night when I lay my head on the pillow, I can at least go, I did something good. I did something good. Didn't pay a lot of money. It didn't, but I am such a monster. I am such a piece of shit. This is what depression does to you. This is what I need to at night to be able to go, well, you know what? Fuck them, because I did this and this was good. So that was my initial interest in working for specifically veterans. And this is probably 2009, 2010, maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there. But I was shocked by how much lip service we give to our veterans. Oh, everybody's, support the troops. Support the troops. Support the troops. I got a bumper sticker. Support the troops. People do not support the troops. They say it because programming tells us our society expects to hear that. We so expect to hear support the troops that we completely tune that out so that we can be sure and fucking murder anyone who has anything critical to say about veterans or about the way we wage wars or about whatever. But nobody actually gives a shit about the troops. I said this last week, and I've been saying this for years and years. The two greatest sins in American history are slavery and the fact that about 80% of our homeless population wear U.S. Army jackets to keep warm. Why? Because they were in the Army, and those jackets keep you warm when you're outside. I mean, that is a cliche in this country that we see in movies and we laugh about. The cliche of the homeless man in his fatigue green Army jacket. Oh, well, that's just what happens with them. They're all fucking, but that's how we take care of our veterans. That's how we take care of our veterans. Support the troops. I once sat in a meeting with a guy who runs a company who I was brought into the meeting by somebody who does business with this guy, and they had just done a huge deal, and they were kind of celebrating. And I had met him the previous week at a bar where they were all celebrating, and the champagne was flowing, and he was picking up the tab. This was at Three Forks, the old Three Forks, a fancy steakhouse. He's picking up the tab for everybody. Yeah. Come by on Tuesday. Both of you come by on Tuesday. We came by on Tuesday. We sat in his office. We asked him for $1,500 to support this coat drive for veterans, is specifically what it was. In the way, $1,500. Oh, and he immediately, well, we can't. Well, that's a little, I don't know. I'm like, motherfucker, I watched you drop 10K just the other night, popping bottles and talk about going to the gentleman's club. We're asking you for $150, and then wouldn't you know it, you walk out into the parking lot, and the first parking lot, the president has got the sign, and it's reserved for his name. You walk out, and there it is, his fancy, expensive Lexus SUV, and right on the back, support the troops. He didn't. He didn't, but he likes to be a guy rolling around with support the troops on the back of his car. Why? Because that's what society expects. That's the programming. We all know we don't support. We all know this. Ooh, gross. He's a crazy vet. Ooh, gross. That's who we really are. And here, one day a year. Oh, the veterans. Oh, we love them. If you fight for the United States of America, who we are, what we are, you fight for the United States of America. I mean, I'm not saying you need to live in the mansion on the hill and that all of the American promises are granted to you simply because you did a tour of duty in Persian Gulf or Nam or wherever. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that you should be first in line for any kind of medical treatment. I'm saying that nobody who served the United States in uniform should ever be homeless. We should build entire building complexes for aging veterans, only veterans. If you're a veteran and you're on the street, we got shit. We got places to put people. How about we do that? How about we commit to that? How about we commit to a simple idea on this Veterans Day, a simple idea to eradicate homelessness among United States veterans? Peel off your goddamn support the troops. Peel off that shit if you don't support that notion. I don't give a fuck. We got a new president. We got a new president who seems to be open to these ideas. So let's talk about tax abatements. Let's talk about giving people huge tax breaks for turning their shithole apartment buildings that they can't sell or they can't, whatever their problem is. There are vacant buildings all over, especially in downtown areas. Downtown areas has so much vacant office space. Every big city in America doesn't need to have a single veteran living on the street. Let's do something with that. How about the president sign some bill that says if you, private industry, wants to go in and renovate a whole bunch of these bankrupt office towers into housing for veterans, I mean, just because they went to war? Yes, just because they went to war. That is part of the deal. They get to go to college. And then the other side is they're not going to die in a puddle of their own piss on a street in Cleveland. That's the other promise, the least we can make to our veterans. So there you go. Let's have Donald Trump do that. Let's make that a commitment. Let's make that something that we can all, normal people, get behind. The simple idea of eradicating homelessness among our veteran population within 5 years. Fuck it. Let's tie it directly to this dude we just elected. 4 years. Let's see if we can't get that done. Veterans Day. We support the troops. We love the troops. No, you don't. You love saying that because a core part of your identity is being a patriot and a good American, but you really don't think about those core things. And I think at the heart of how we define ourselves, not just as a nation, but as a society, as a civilized society, is by how we treat those that we put on the line. And we put our veterans on the line. It's not about politics. Well, I don't support the wars. I don't give a shit if you support the wars or not. These are people who said, look, I will die in defense of whatever this country, and unfortunately it's the political leaders, decide is worthy of dying for. That's a commitment. It's a commitment. We support the veterans. No, you don't. Let's eradicate homelessness among our veteran population. Let's make that a thing. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. Veterans Day. It is Veterans Day. What else do we got? Trump, he's nominating people. He's naming names, naming people to high positions. We talked about he named that chick no one has ever heard of, but we're all going to know her name shortly. He named that chick to be his chief of staff. And now he seems to have named Elise Stefanik, New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, as ambassador to the United Nations. Kind of wild. I don't know, right? Like, okay, so I was encouraged when he named the person he named to be the chief of staff, because the chief of staff is the most important position in any presidential administration. No, the second most powerful and influential person is not the vice president. It is the White House chief of staff. That person controls everything. Nothing gets to the president that doesn't go through the chief of staff first. And I mean nothing. I mean, like, Israel attacks Iran at 3:00 in the morning. They wake up the chief of staff first. The chief of staff decides, do we wake the president? I mean, so he named somebody who I'm never heard of, but I'm promised is a very reasonable and incredibly well-liked on both sides of the aisle individual. That was promising. I'm not quite as encouraged with this assigning of Elise Stefanik to the United Nations, but okay, whatever. Also, heard reported today, although I haven't been able to read it myself because I think I was in the car when I heard it reported, and this should be incredibly troubling. Hold on, let me see something here. Before I make this comment, I want to make sure I'm right about it. All right, let me see. Oh, shit, yeah. I am right about it. All right. All right, so one of the troubling things is that Trump has named as the assistant White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, who you may remember from his earlier hits, Kids in Cages. That was a big one. Shoot Him in the Leg. That was another one of Stephen Miller's greatest hits. And Stephen Miller is a creepy guy. Look, I don't know. Whatever. He must be smart. He's a young man. He's a young man who has ascended now as assistant chief of staff, which is troubling. It's like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the chief of staff somebody that both sides totally agree with. Well, chief of staff, the last line of defense. And then we're going to make the person who is that person's last line of defense one of the most questionable people in the history of modern American politics, Stephen Miller. So, whatever. Anyway, here's my theory. And this is what I wanted to kind of work with. I think the only reason that Donald Trump likes Stephen Miller is because Stephen Miller reminds Donald Trump of his mentor, Roy Cohn. They're very similar individuals. Very similar. At a very young age. And not different than Stephen Miller in 2016, when like a 20-something-year-old Stephen Miller ascends to the highest positions of power in the world through Donald Trump's 2016 election. He was a young man. That was exactly the same way that Roy Cohn, a young man, ascended to be the right-hand guy to Joe McCarthy during the communist blacklist hearings. That is what or before that, I believe it was even before that, the Julius and Ethel Rosenberg trial, where this young New York City attorney, Roy Cohn, saves the world from these communist spies. Well, Roy Cohn was a bad guy, a really bad guy. History's never going to change on that. His actions are well noted. He was, I guess, I mean, if we're looking at it through this lens, I guess he was a winner, though. He was a wealthy, very influential historical figure that a lot of people questioned his motivations and really his moral makeup at all. Did he have any? So that's Roy Cohn. Stephen Miller, very similar. Like people like, I don't know this to be true, but I bet you that Stephen Miller really admires Roy Cohn. And that might be one of the things that Stephen Miller really admires about Donald Trump. Is that so? My point is this: I think Donald Trump likes Stephen Miller because Stephen Miller reminds Donald Trump of Roy Cohn. Let's see them side by side. I mean, I don't know. Do they look anything alike? Do they? I think they do. But that is, of course, Roy Cohn on the left, and that is Stephen Miller on the right. I think that Donald Trump has an affinity for Stephen Miller because he reminds him of Roy Cohn. Let's see what else we got. We got any other side-by-side pictures? Now, there's Trump. There you go. There's mentor and apprentice. A young, handsome Trump laughing it up, wearing their tuxedos, the fancy elitists. Scariest circles of 1980s Manhattan society. Look at him. He's in there. How'd the blue-collar billionaire get in there with those people? Trump's as elite as they come, people. They sold you a bottle of medicine. He's as elite as they come. All right, there's Stephen Miller. There's Stephen Miller. There's Stephen Miller. There's Stephen Miller. I need more Roy Cohn, Stephen Miller. Stop by. There's Roy Cohn in a movie. Or that's somebody playing Roy Cohn in a movie. That's Stephen Miller. That's Stephen Miller. He is Roy Cohn, man. I'm sorry. He is. There's no more pictures of them side by side? I don't know what that is. There you go. Somebody no, that's Putin. Oh, stop it. Yeah, Stephen Miller does, though. He also looks like Putin a little bit, but it's more of like a whole Roy Cohn vibe. There you go. Stephen Miller must remind Trump. Oh, my God. That's exactly what I just said. Look at that. That's exactly what I just said. Stephen Miller must remind Trump of his old friend and mentor, Roy Cohn. I'm telling you. It's the only reason that this guy... It's so crazy. That is crazy. Let's see here. What else do we have? What else is happening news-wise? Getting back into normal news, moving away from all the election stuff of last week. There was a shooting in at Tuskegee University, one of the historically black universities in America. Don't know why that's relevant to this story, but it seems like whenever something happens at one of these schools, we have to be reminded that it is one of the historically black. Aren't all universities at this point historically black? Like you've had there hasn't been a university in America, at least not a real university in America, that has been like, black people can't come here in like 50 years, okay? Again, constant reminding. I think that we have seen immense progress. That's white elitism, right? Or white privilege. But man, I can just tell you, as a fat, comfortable, middle-aged white man sitting on his couch watching TV, back when I was a kid, no black people on TV. None. Now, as a grown-up, black people all over TV. It ain't nobody care. Ain't nobody care. That's progress. That's progress. So it's working. It's working. But the constant, moral grandstanding and virtue signaling, just, that's why the Democrats got their asses kicked. Because if you objectively look at this country and our treatment of minorities between 1966 and 2024, and you don't recognize slow but great shifts in societies are often slow but consistent and overwhelmingly successful progress, right? How could you not see that? It's not fast enough. If that's your argument, then I would say you're not a serious person. Anyway, historically black universities, we're still reminded that they exist. Good for them. Good for them. This school is more important because it's a school that 150 years ago was the only school where people could go who could now go to every school. It's not a thing anymore, but it's still, remember how bad you were. That's the backlash. That's the backlash, Democrats. That's it. Anyway, let's get to this story over the weekend. A person is dead and 16 are hurt after a shooting at Tuskegee University. One arrest has been made. A shooting early Sunday during homecoming weekend at Tuskegee University in Alabama left one person dead and 16 injured. Alabama law enforcement said Jacques Myrick, 25, of Montgomery, was taken into custody while leaving the scene of the campus shooting and had been found with a handgun that had a machine gun conversion device. The agency said in a statement that Myrick faces a federal charge of possession of a machine gun. It did not accuse him of using the gun or being the shooter, but simply that he had a machine gun. Let's see here. The agency didn't say whether Myrick was a student at the historically black university. See, you don't need to put that in there. Where the shooting erupted. Why are you putting that in there? Are you trying to trigger bigots to go? Because the sentence is, the agency didn't say whether Myrick was a student at the historically black university where the shooting erupted. Because, adding the historically black university, you might have an Archie Bunker type who would then read the next part, which says the shooting erupted, and they'd go, well, of course, those people. Yeah. Do you hear about what they do with those historically black universities? They shoot people. That's what they do. See, unnecessary. Unnecessary. The agency didn't say whether Myrick was a student there. All they said was that what happened at the 100th homecoming weekend. All right, whatever. This is not seeing it go around. I'm seeing it all over the Twitter. That's why I wanted to mention it. If this wasn't at a black university, they would be talking about it with a big mass shoot. I'm reading like people saying this, and I'm like, it being at a black university has nothing to do with it. What has everything to do with the reason that this isn't being covered and why CNN doesn't have Anderson Cooper standing there on the quad at this university. The reason they're doing that is because it's not that kind of shooting. These are college students who got drunk on homecoming weekend. They were all gathered in a quad. Somebody saw somebody kissing his girlfriend, and all of a sudden everybody's running. That's what this is, okay? We stop the presses for the crazy white guy who checks into the hotel room and decides to shoot everybody on the street below. That's a different kind of crime. Has nothing to do with race. Stop it. Did last Tuesday teach you people nothing? And it's because that it's at a historically black university that it's not being reported. No, it's not being reported because it's just another dude in America with a gun who's an emotional infant who probably witnessed something while half in the bag on homecoming night and pulled out his little handmade gun, and now we have this. That is not worthy of stopping the presses, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it was black kids involved. Quincy Jones' funeral was held over the weekend. The world lost Quincy Jones, one of them dudes, one of my favorite people, one of the most interesting cultural figures of my lifetime. Quincy Jones. Want to know what a badass Quincy Jones was? We didn't hear anything about Quincy Jones' funeral because Quincy Jones' funeral had like 6 people there. It was private. Nobody was on. Didn't want Jay-Z and Beyonce, and didn't want all Janet Jackson and her entourage. Yeah, he didn't want that. The family didn't want that. They laid him to rest Sunday. His daughters and I don't know, some chick he was banging. I saw. Quincy Jones has been laid to rest. All right, big breaking news. We got a monkey hunt update. Friday, I told you about the monkey hunt that was going on in North Carolina. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to be worried about. Just, like 150 monkeys. Nah, it's probably like, what was it, 36, 40, something like that. I don't know. Something like that. A number like that. A number like that, monkeys. And it's not that important that I get the exact number of monkeys right. It doesn't change the way you process the story. So like a number like that, monkeys. They escape from a disease research facility in North Carolina. Now, in the very early goings of this story, they were very much focusing on the fact that it was a disease research facility. In the most recent stories about this, they're no longer calling it a disease research facility. They're now calling it a monkey sanctuary because apparently that plays better for frightened citizens. It was a disease research facility, and now it's a monkey sanctuary. Anyway, they caught some of them. 24 more monkeys that escaped from a South Carolina lab. Oh, this one's calling them a lab. A South Carolina lab have been recovered unharmed. I don't know about that. 24. I love the way that's written too. 24 more. Like, well, how fucking many of these monkeys were out there that 24 more? And you're not like, hey, we got 24. That's the most we've ever gotten in one. But no, you're just like 24 more. We got 24 more. There's about 136 of them left by our count. We don't know. We're not sure. Not sure how many that disease, Simian Sanctuary. Not sure how many they had. More than half of the monkeys. Oh, there you go. Ask a stupid question, get an instant answer. More than half of the monkeys bred for medical research that escaped from a compound. Now, all right, that's all right. Medical research, good. It's a happy medium between disease research lab and monkey sanctuary. Medical research. They're bred for medical research. They're just bred for medical. Right. We get it. you breed them for medical research, and then you like inject them with diseases and stuff and see how it affects them, right? Yeah, that's what they're bred for. So what diseases were they injected with? And I got to follow up. These just 24 monkeys were captured on Sunday, a day after another of the 43 escaped monkeys was recovered. So how many? A sizable group. That's what they're calling it. Authorities are saying a sizable group remains active along the compound's fence line and bedded down in the trees for the night. Police in Yemisi, which is about 50 miles northeast of Savannah, Georgia. That's what this police chief said in the statement. Veterinarians have been examining the animals, and initial reports indicate that they are all in good health. Yeah, they're having the time of their life. The rhesus macaques made a break for it Wednesday after an employee at the Alpha Genesis facility in Yemisi didn't fully lock a door as she fed and checked on them, officials said. Since their escape, the monkeys have explored the outer fence of the Alpha Genesis compound, cooing at the monkeys inside. The primates continue to interact with their companions inside the facility. It seems pretty easy. Are they still on, like they never left campus? Like they're all still just like, we're outside, and like there's monkeys inside, and they're all at the windows, and the monkeys outside are like, here we are. Like, do they even know? They're monkeys. This is a serious question. Monkeys. Do they even know they've done something wrong? And do they even know that anybody's looking for them? I don't know. Here's what happens, though. One of these monkeys gets out, and I got to believe that whatever fence they got keeping this alpha, I got to believe a monkey could get over the fence. So, I mean, come on. Look, you see what's going on our southern border? You don't think a monkey can get over a fence? Please. One of them monkeys gets over that fence and then, I don't know, rapes your chihuahua that you let go in the woods. And then, later that night, you're watching something on Netflix and the chihuahua's in your lap and you're eating popcorn. And all of a sudden you let the chihuahua start licking your face, get the butter off your face. You have no idea that your chihuahua was raped by a diseased monkey 5 hours earlier. And now we've got another pandemic. That's how it happens. You don't think so? You watch. Anyway, I'll have more updates as the monkey hunt continues throughout the week. Oh, hey, Mattel did something stupid. It's funny. It's funny. And I got to believe, look, seriously, no joke. I got to believe there's a really good chance this was done on purpose. Really good chance this was done on purpose. There are no rules anymore. There's all the craziest and most outlandish ideas that people have for marketing and all of that used to run into brick walls and brainstorming sessions by some guy in a suit who goes, yeah, we can't corporate would never okay that idea. Nah, you know what? That could be offensive to this group. Corporate would never. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that. We can have fun again. We can have fun, and we can trust that people who might be picked on are a little bit tougher than their loudest and dumbest advocates would have us believe. They make fun of people again, right? So anyway, you can shock people again. That's the other thing I'm looking forward to. The ability to shock someone without the fear that you will never work again. Right? That's kind of, I think that is one of the, and look, I'm not cool with what happened on Tuesday. I'm also not upset with what happened on Tuesday. I'm not cool with what's been happening in this country for the last decade. But I'm also like, there are some upsides. The rank and file American people have spoken. And, basically what they've said is we're tired of being offended and afraid by everything, and we're gonna cancel. I can't believe Mattel did this. Mattel, the toy company, is who I'm talking about. They did something, and I think they did it on purpose, because I'm talking about Mattel here, and everybody else is talking about Mattel. And you know what? Quite frankly, I had no idea that Wicked, the Broadway play about witches, isn't it something to do with Wizard of Oz or something? I had no idea that Wicked was going to be a big movie. Apparently it's a big movie. It's coming out. And that there's a whole bunch of toys, and that Mattel is making the Wicked dolls, and apparently the Wicked dolls are going to be a huge thing. I'd never heard of the Wicked movie. And I'd never heard of the Wicked dolls. And I certainly never knew that Mattel was about to drop Wicked dolls on the world. Didn't know anything about it. I do now. You know why? Because someone at Mattel made a mistake. In the backs of the first run of the Wicked dolls, direct people, fans of Wicked the musical, to wicked.com, which is, of course, a porn site, a porn company. Wicked pornography. So the first run of these Wicked dolls have been already sent out to stores, apparently. And the first run of them are directing people to a porn site. Now, I believe that a couple of years ago, people would be fired. The marketing director is gone. Mattel would issue an apology. We're so sorry. We are so sorry that your little girl went to a porn site. They would do that. Now, I don't think they're doing that now. I think they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. You know how many people are going to be talking about us? Every morning show in America is going to talk about the Wicked dolls. And you know what? Yeah, some people will be upset, those people that we've been dealing with. But guess what we learned? We learned that nobody else in this country gives a shit about the complainiest and the loudest MFers out there. Screw them. Let's do it. Let's direct little girls on the back of our Mattel Wicked dolls to a hardcore porno site, and let's get some freaking market bump. Not to mention the fact that every single one, are they pulling them? I want to know. That's the interesting. Let me see. I'm going to look in the store. I want to see if Mattel has pulled them all off the store shelves. Oh, we are so upset. We're so upset that we accidentally put a porn website on the back of this Wicked doll for kids. We're so upset. Are you pulling them? Are you pulling them? Or do you know that this news is going to ensure that those first runs sell out so quick? And the eBay market for the Wicked doll with the porno listing, oh, how do you think collectors are going to feel about that? It's all a game. And Mattel's doing it. Mattel don't give a fuck. Mattel's like, I don't care. Porno, Trump won. Nobody cares. It's a funny story, though. Here, I'll show you what it says. Mattel is now apologizing. That's fine. Good. And that's what you do. You apologize. We can't believe it. So sorry. It's terrible. Yes, you with the nose piercing and the chartreuse hair, you have a question. I just want you to apologize to all women everywhere for what you've done. And then the president of Mattel's going to be like, all right, all the women out of there. I'm sorry. My bad. Next. That's what we're doing now. Thank fucking God. That wasn't a sincere apology. Security, show her out. And I'm totally okay with that. And you know what? Every normal person in this country is totally okay with that as well. Because it's absurd to be entertaining these loud, dumb people's complaints. And by the way, most of them are advocating for the put-upon class. They're not really... They're not even, it's always like some white suburban lady who's advocating for the brown kids in the inner city. And I guess somebody's got to. But you know what? Those same white ladies, where were they on election day? So shut the fuck up. There are no rules. Michael Che, I've noticed this on Saturday Night Live. I've been saying there are no rules. It's the 1980s, baby. Gordon Gekko, Wall Street. Let's go. I've been saying that for a while now. Michael Che on Saturday Night Live has a running gag now whenever he tells a joke that's offensive, like a joke that would normally be like, oh, censors, you can't say that, Michael. That's going to get Michael Che fired. So his running gag now on SNL is whenever he does a joke like that is he goes, what? It's the 90s. Which is sort of my same thing about it's the 80s. I'm just a little bit older than Michael Che. But yeah, he's like, it's the 90s. I can be offensive again. We can have fun with humor and jokes, and people are allowed to laugh at stuff that you are offended by, and you can just mind your own damn business. Because humor is the only thing that stops us all from dropping bombs on one another. I believe that to be true. All right, let's move back to that lady who asked the question of the Mattel CEO. You know, she of the nose piercing and the arm sleeve and the chartreuse hair. demanding that Mattel apologize. Let's move back to her. Check this out. She's leaving the country. That's right. Women are leaving America. Here's what I bet. None of the hot ones. I bet it's none of the hot ones. I bet you the hot chicks are in for like a renaissance. Hot chicks are like, look at Lara Trump. She's the most powerful. She's hot, super hot. And she's the most powerful female political figure in America right now as chairperson of the Republican National Committee. Hot chicks are about fuck that Brat Summer bullshit. It is traditional, doing Fox News on the weekends, hot chick, summer, winter, fall, whatever. Hot chicks. Hot chicks aren't leaving the country. Hot chicks who, like, traditionally were, hot chicks who were raised by other hot chicks. That's the most dangerous kind of hot chick. If you're a hot chick and you were raised by another hot chick, oh man, do you know what you're doing? You know what you do. Hot chicks can do whatever they want if they know what they're doing. It's the other chicks. It's it's the angry ones. It's a whole bunch of chicks who probably could be hot, but they don't want to be objectified. All right, so they're leaving the country. Hot chicks, women are leaving. This comes from the Daily Mail. This is about numbers of passports or entry visas applied for. Apparently, American women, they want to move. They're going to get out, and it's all happened within the last week. All the ones without boyfriends tying them down are getting out. All right. A growing number of American women are fleeing the United States in search of a better life in Europe. Nearly half of American expats working abroad in 2021 were females, this according to a survey by Internations. The average age of the expats were 43. Yeah. Think about that. Kind of proves my point. 43-year-old women. 43-year-old women just going to pick up and leave America. She doesn't have a husband. So not that she needs that. I'm just saying. Nobody ever locked her down. She's 43 and nobody has locked her down. Of course, she's leaving the country. The average age of expat females is 43. Many are looking to move to a country that aligns with their values. Good luck with that. Might I suggest Yemen? Why don't you go try Yemen? Aligns with their values. Would you think this is a purely American phenomenon, that the entire rational thinking world is starting to embrace the very simple and oftentimes reductive concept of common sense? Really? You think that's just an American thing? They're dealing with some shit in Europe is all I'm saying. Enjoy, okay? Enjoy. You think it's going to be better over there? Enjoy. Unless this is just simply about abortion, okay. All right. You just want to keep having them abortions. I just can't live in a country that doesn't respect women. I don't know. Trump just made a woman the chief of staff. Gotta be honest, and I could be wrong, I don't think there's ever been a woman chief of staff. I don't think there's never been a female president. I don't know if there's ever been a female chief of staff. So I don't want to live in a country that would do that. And, he also just assigned Elise Stefanik to the UN, which I have a little bit of tap the brakes on that one, but still a woman. Women are being. Here's the problem with these chicks. This was the great reckoning of the election. All of these women who are leaving the country because they just can't live in a country like that. All of those women, they're really upset that they're figuring out that they are in the minority of their fellow women. That's what this is about. The women were so arrogant. Not going back. We are not going back. It was just all so and then nothing broke their way. And again, you can try and pull it apart, demographics, and well, she didn't do this, and Biden didn't help by doing this, and you can do all that if you want. But I'm telling you, people just don't like that side. People just don't like the left. And it's not to say that the left is irredeemable. It's not to say that there can't be a complete, reinvention. But this current 2024, the crybaby, the willingness to lose valiantly, I'm offended by everything, those irritating American attitudes of the past 25, 30 years, those have broken the backs of common sense people. Having that, making that your thing, the Democratic Party has sort of aligned themselves with that wing of America, and I don't get it. It's the irritating fucking wing, and you are never going to get anybody in Indiana to vote for you with those people as your mouthpiece. All right. Let's keep going, ladies. I'll tell you, man, if you're 43 years old, a woman, and you think, well, hey, man, look at me. My wanderlust is as my kid's going to be in high school for another 2 years. I would love to be in a position in 2 years to just be like, all right, I'm going to go live in Ireland for a year. I'm going to go live in, working digitally. You can do all those things. But so I get the wanderlust, ladies. But I really do think that a lot of these women are just wholly humiliated that they were abandoned by who they thought was going to be a unified sisterhood. And it wasn't there, because not all women think the same thing. Our bodies, our choice. Yeah. And a choice was made. And the women, sorry, the choice didn't work out. And now you got to go live in, where are you going to live? Where are you going to go live? You go live in Ireland. I've spent time in Ireland. Enjoy it, sweetie. You ain't cut out to be a chick in Ireland. You think American men are boorish? Oh my God. Why do you think Irish chicks are so tough? Because they're constantly fighting boorish, drunken Irishmen. Go ahead, move there. It'll be better than America. You'll get your ass grabbed so much just going through the airport. You won't. Let's move on. Women, we're leaving the country. And all of these celebrities, we're leaving the country. Who was it? There was some big celebrity that was threatening to leave the country. And I'm like, bitch, you spend like 3 weeks a year in this country anyway. Don't you live in like the south of France? Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to leave the country. You're a billionaire, man. You live wherever the fuck you want. You want to leave the country? Fine. Shut up. How about stop making movies? Oh, you're not going to do that because that allows you to live anywhere you want. But I'm going to be spending the next 6 months in my Rotterdam estate because of the election. No, you're not. You live half the year over there anyway. It was Clooney. That's what it was. It was Clooney who made some comment about how he's going to be spending less and less time in America. And I'm like, dude, you live in France anyway. Yeah, you got a house in Malibu because you're Clooney, but that's just for awards season. You only live there during awards season. You spend all your wife, her day job is in The Hague, okay? Your wife has an office in The Hague. Like, that's the rectum of Europe. You don't live in America, dude. Oh, I'm leaving the country. And I love Clooney. Don't get me wrong. I love Clooney. I love everything about Clooney. Do this to Clooney. How about move back here full time? Run next time. I'll vote for your ass. I'll vote for Clooney. Want to know why? Because this is what we're doing now. This is what we're doing. I'll vote for Clooney. Fuck it. I like him. He's smart. I mean, he's a really smart guy. He's smart. He seems decent. You know, aside from all the stuff I read on Twitter about him being a pedophile and all that, he seems pretty decent. smart, and his wife's a smoke show. And his wife is super smart. All right, there you go. If Clooney doesn't leave, I'm voting for him next time. I just go write him in. Clooney, George Clooney. Jadavian Clowney will end up getting my vote. All right. What else do we have? Hey, Simon and Garfunkel. These two dudes, Simon and Garfunkel. Did you guys know that they were feuding? You know that Simon and Garfunkel had beef? I mean, I think we all assume that there's some level of beef with Simon and Garfunkel. But I don't know. I didn't think it was like the kind of thing where they hadn't talked in years and years. But apparently they hadn't. They hadn't talked Simon and Garfunkel. Now, look, I don't know who you are. And maybe it's just because I'm an old man. Simon and Garfunkel, they're legit, man. They're legit. Paul, I mean, okay. Here, frack you. No, Garfunkel is legit. Garfunkel, because I know you're like, really? Isn't it just Paul Simon? No, man. Art Garfunkel has a voice. Paul Simon ain't got a voice. Paul Simon's got other things. Art Garfunkel. Bridge over troubled water? Yeah. Yeah. Art Garfunkel ain't just along for the ride. That's probably that's probably one of the 10, that song like 1,000 years from now. They'll be singing that in church. They'll be like, now an ancient hymn, and like a bridge. Oh, right? That's one of those songs. That's Art Garfunkel. So he's legit. So I think it's quite clear that Paul Simon, throughout the course of Simon and Garfunkel, is the reason that they're so incredible. But let's not undercut Art Garfunkel. I think there was like this deal where there was resentment. I've seen a lot. I love Paul Simon, right? I like as a creator, as a writer, as a guy who just puts words in a sentence, and then you read that sentence, and you're like, wow, I bet it means this. I bet it means that. He's one of those guys. He's awesome. He is great. Paul Simon. So there was like this period where he wrote all the songs. It's Paul Simon. He wrote everything. It's me. This is another Paul Simon and Garfunkel songs, all written by Paul Simon. And I think it was like a deal where Paul Simon was getting all the royalties. So by the time like the early 70s rolled around, like Paul Simon and Garfunkel are like a big band. They're doing concerts. People love them. They're celebrities. They're famous. But these are still two old friends, two old buddies. And again, it's like the early 70s. And they're both in their 20s. They're still kids. And all of a sudden, Art Garfunkel is like, holy shit, my partner is like worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm just a regular run-of-the-mill wealthy guy who's in a successful band. And there was he got mad. Art Garfunkel was like, wait a second, why is this? And Paul Simon's like, dude, I write everything. It's because, the publishing of the song itself is more important than the actual edition of the song or rendition of the song that you and I do. The song will live on, and people who in the future want to cover it, I wrote it, so I get paid. Garfunkel didn't like that. That was a big problem early on. And that was the reason for the big Central Park concert, the reunion concert that sold out. Maybe you're not as into the whole history of Simon and Garfunkel as I am. Anyway, I mean, that was beef. That's historic Simon and Garfunkel beef, but they got over that. I don't know what the new beef is about, but apparently it's been a thing. Well, guess what? And how cool would this be? Imagine it's just a rando Saturday, rando fall Saturday. Yankees just got eliminated from the World Series. You're in New York City, Manhattan. You're having a sandwich in this coffee shop, and you look over and you see these two old men. And these two old men are in the coffee shop, and they're getting loud, and they're laughing, and they seem to be having a great time. And then you look closer, and you're like, those two old dudes look like Simon and Garfunkel, don't they? That's hysterical how much they look like Simon and Garfunkel. It was Simon and Garfunkel. Apparently, recently they had lunch together for the first time in years and years and years. Art Garfunkel is talking about it. Here's the headline. I was a fool. Art Garfunkel describes tearful reunion with Paul Simon. Singer describes recent meeting where Simon said he was offended by old interviews And then the pair reconciled. All right. So Paul Simon, apparently they hadn't talked in years and years and years. And again, I don't mean like back in the 70s. I mean like they were probably cool in 2003. And then all of a sudden, Simon's not returning Garfunkel's calls for like the last 21 years or whatever. So it's like a recent thing. And here's what it's about. Art Garfunkel has described a recent tearful reunion with longtime partner Paul Simon, in which the pair moved past their old enmities. Nice word. Nice use. And how about me pronouncing it correctly? Yeah, enmities. Speaking to the Times, Garfunkel said, quoting now, I had lunch with Paul just a couple of weeks back. First time we'd been together in many, many years. I looked at Paul and I said to him, what happened? Why haven't we seen each other? Paul then mentioned an old interview from years and years ago where I said some stuff. I cried when he told me how much my interview had hurt him. Looking back, I guess I wanted to, shake things up. Shake up that nice guy image that I'd had from Simon and Garfunkel. You know what? Now that I think about it, I was a fool. More quotes now from Art Garfunkel. He and I, we've made plans. We're going to hang out again. Will Paul bring his guitar? Who knows? For me, it was about wanting to make amends before it's too late. It felt like we were back in a wonderful place. As I think about it now, tears are rolling down my cheeks. I can still feel our parting hug. Oh, how beautiful is that? You telling me they ain't got 3 albums worth of my old friend bullshit? Come on, Simon and Garfunkel. Hello, my old friend. Hello, my old friend. Thank you. Having coffee in a Manhattan coffee shop with my old friend. Thank you. This is our new single. As everyone goes to the bathroom. Oh, they're playing the new stuff? I gotta take a shit. Anybody want anything from the concession stand? That's what you do at concerts, right? Whenever that's what I'm telling you, man. Hey, dudes and bands, don't give us a reason. We all gotta shit. We all got to piss or shit. Here's something you got to know when you're on stage with people in a live audience. Everybody in that audience has got to piss or shit. They're all just looking for a reason to go to the bathroom. I'm not kidding. This is actually advice that was given to me once by somebody. I don't remember who, but I do remember thinking it was good advice. When you're on stage, everybody's got to piss or shit. Don't give them a reason to go to the bathroom, which means don't get on stage and start going political or, shit like that. Don't get on stage and tell them you're about to play a whole bunch of new shit that they don't know, that they don't want to hear. So don't be like, hey, we're going to play some new stuff. Only the biggest names can get away with that. Never give them a reason to shit. Let's see here. Simon and Garfunkel. Okay, so whatever. I don't know. It's just nice that these two are, you gotta want those two nice guys to get together. Good, the nice guy image thing, that's not Paul Simon. Paul Simon is real edgy. Paul Simon is real insurgent. Paul Simon is provocative in a very interesting way. It's why he's such a revered artist. It's like Paul. The bulk of Paul Simon's material is much like Bruce Springsteen's song "Born in the USA." Nobody gets "Born in the USA." Like most people, they think of "Born in the USA" and they're like, "Yeah, I'm just so tired of that bullshit. Go America, we're #1 bullshit." That ain't what "Born in the USA" is about. That ain't what Bruce is writing. Bruce, it's tongue in cheek. The song is describing a working class man that his country has forgotten. And then the chorus is sarcastic Born is sarcastic. It's supposed to be like, here's the shitty things that happened to me today. Born. And yet people, they hear that song, they don't listen to the lyrics, and they think, well, that's a lot of Paul Simon stuff. Like, you listen to Paul Simon shit and you're like, holy crap. Like, what's that one song? Oh, he's got what's that song? He's got, God, I can't think of the song. Something about, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Hey, there's that song Kodachrome from Paul Simon, not a Simon and Garfunkel song, but a Paul Simon song. You don't look at the lyrics of that too closely. You'll be like, oh my God, this guy's a pervert. He's a peeping Tom taking pictures of girls when they undress. What is the song I'm trying to think of that's like you listening to it and you think like, oh, this is just like a pussy yacht rock song. But then you actually start listening to the lyrics and you're like, holy fuck, these people are all killing themselves. I get it now. This is a song about suicide. Here, I thought it was just a song about the mundane aspects of everyday life. And these people are killing themselves? What's the song? I can't think of it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Simon and Garfunkel, they're friends again. You know who aren't friends? Well, actually, I believe that these guys are probably really good friends. And I don't know, man. I just, on principle, I don't want to be as into this thing as I think I'm getting into. I'm getting sucked in. And you know what? Why not? Why not? A plane engine could fall out of the sky as I'm walking and fumbling with my keys across the parking lot, and it could kill me like that. Why on earth would I deprive myself of what could be a guilty pleasure? This is my way of telling you that I might be all in. I might be all in on Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. I might be all in. Here's why. This is what's going on. Okay. All right. Because you know who's definitely all in on this thing? My 15-year-old idiot meathead son, who I love, who's actually really smart. But still, he's 15 years old, so he's an idiot meathead. He's way into this. He's like, oh, Dad. Because we got kids weekend. I got him this fight is Friday night, right? 15th. Tonight's the 11th. Tuesday's the 12th. Wednesday's the 13th. Thursday's the 14th. Friday's the... Yeah, all right. So I get... And what? Is it on Netflix? They're going to be like an upcharge for this bullshit? I don't know. But my kid's like, we got to watch it. And like my initial answer was, you're going to watch it. But then he's like, you're not going to watch that? And like there was just this legitimate... Like, oh, well, you're not going to watch that? I thought we could watch that. Like, he only said, you're not going to watch that, but the tone, I read like a whole bunch into the tone. So I've changed my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch it. We're going to get pizza. We're going to watch Jake Paul, a YouTuber, fight 130-year-old Mike Tyson at AT&T Stadium right here in Arlington. We'll watch that on Netflix. They were supposed to fight on my birthday. This has been going on for well over a year at this point. They were supposed to fight July 20th at AT&T Stadium, but I don't know. Tyson had to have hip surgery or something. I don't know. Whatever happens with old men. Somebody tore his abdomen training or something. Because he's 60 or whatever he is. Whatever he is. Oh, God, this is just... now I'm talking. I got to see. Okay, so I got to talk to you guys about my feelings about this fight because I can't talk to my 15-year-old about it, not honestly, because he's very sensitive. He once said to me when he was like 10 years old, he was really getting into WWE, and he's very much into WWE. He loves WWE. I do not like WWE. So around the time he was 10 years old, he's getting into WWE. And I noticed it, and I'm like, you realize that's all fake, right? And I did he's 10 years old, and he's just found something that he loves watching. And I'm like, you know that's all fake. You know what those guys, and he didn't know it was fake. He was 10 years old. He had no idea he's 10. And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, look it up. And I'm like, Google it. And, I can't let it go. So I'm Googling. I'm like, see? And I'm showing him all this stuff. And then he just looked at me. He was like 10 years old. He looked at me and he was like starting to cry. And he said, "Why did you have to ruin it for me?" Oh, worst dad moment ever. Oh, because he's right. What the fuck do I got to ruin that for? Why did I have to ruin that? So I'm not going to ruin Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I'm not going to ruin it for him. There's no mileage for me to be gained out of being like the sarcastic shit talker. He's into it. He wants to watch it. He thinks it's going to be fun. So I'm going to be right there with him. It's going to be fun. So let's go. Who do I think is going to win? Well, that's the problem. I think Jake Paul's going to win. I think Jake Paul's going to kick the shit out of Mike Tyson. Because he's 60. I'm sorry. He's 60. And Jake Paul is like what? 29, 30 maybe? I don't know how old Jake Paul is. It doesn't matter. He's in incredible athletic form. And he has been training. I love this thing. People are like, Jake Paul. Jake Paul ain't a real boxer. Yeah, you've been saying that for 4 years. And in that time, he's been doing nothing but training with the absolute best boxing coaches every fracking day for the last 4 years. Guess what? That argument doesn't hold water anymore. He's a real boxer now. Yeah, he's a real boxer, and that hurts a lot of people's feelings. Of course, he's a real boxer. He has done nothing but train. He has had every big-name boxing coach, teacher, sparring partner. You know why? Because he's a 20-year-old YouTuber with like $500 million. So that's what he can do at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. He hasn't got to go to work. He can have Emmanuel Stewart come by and work him out in his gigantic boxing gym that he built in his backyard. Because again, he's a real boxer. Okay, so stop with he's not a real boxer. Has he fought anybody legitimately good? No. Well, he's got to fight somebody legitimately good now. Mike Tyson's the greatest of all time. That's right, he is the greatest of all time. But he's not good. He ain't good at 60. So the question, the metric when you're looking at Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is simply this. We know that Mike Tyson is the greatest heavyweight of all time. I understand that's a subjective proclamation, but I'm making it. Mike Tyson is the greatest, most devastating heavyweight puncher of all time. Jake Paul is a young athlete. I'm sorry he's an athlete. What do you mean he's an athlete? That fracking kid is an athlete. I don't give a crap what you think about Jake Paul. I bet you if you were 17 and you guys were hanging out at the park and you were choosing teams for basketball, I bet you he would have been one of the top. I bet you that kid's an athlete. He looks like a jock. That's his whole thing, okay? So he's an athlete, a pure, natural-born athlete with money to burn, who's been training with the best people, and he's been legitimately boxing. He's fought some real boxers, nobody. So, okay, so that's who they are. So the metric becomes, is Jake Paul, who is a legitimate boxer, he's a legitimate boxer. Is Jake Paul, who is a legitimate boxer, maybe as good as he's ever going to get at this age? He might be as good as he is ever going to get. Is that good enough to beat Mike Tyson, who's considered the greatest of all time? But where is Mike Tyson right now at 60? Is Mike Tyson as good as Jake Paul, who is, basically like a journeyman? But I don't think he is. And I think it comes down to the age difference. I think Mike Tyson could get hurt. I think he could take one shot. Jake Paul is a big dude. And again, boy, he's not a boxer. Shut the fuck up. He is a boxer. He's been training for 4 years. So are you saying that guys in the Olympic boxers aren't real boxers? Right, is that what you're saying? Because most of those guys are like 18, 19 years old, and they ain't been training but 4 years either. And I promise you that those kids who make the Olympic team at 18 years old, they weren't training with the same level of professional tutelage and all the bells and whistles as Jake Paul has for choice. So just stop it. So that brings us to my pick. Who do I think is going to win? I think it's going to be Jake Paul. However, because I do love combat sports, I do know about the one tricky X factor rule of combat sports, and that is puncher's chance. Does Mike Tyson have a puncher's chance to catch him early? And I'm thinking it's going to be a rib shot. I do not imagine that Jake Paul has ever absorbed a punch with the power of Mike Tyson to his ribs. And why do I say a rib shot? Because that's the kind of thing that you can take in the first 30 seconds of the fight that will ruin you 3 rounds later. You'll survive it in that first round, but rib damage? Oh my God. So that's the puncher's chance. I think Tyson could injure him to a point where then all he, like, because I think Mike's only got about 5, 6, 7, 8 punches in him. But those punches could be Mike Tyson-esque. He's probably got 5 of them, Mike Tyson-esque. If he lands with one of them early, I believe he could injure Jake Paul to the extent that Mike Tyson could then just be the better boxer, the more professional boxer, and he could survive and he could win, possibly even causing Jake Paul later to panic, thinking that he's bleeding internally and, throw in the towel or whatever. That's a chance. But I think it's going to go the distance. And I think that Jake Paul is going to try to avoid his big power shots and win on the cards. And God forbid Jake Paul knocks out Mike Tyson. I mean, that'll suck. But I do believe Jake Paul is going to win. So I don't know. All right, so that's Friday. It's apparently going to happen as of Monday afternoon at 2:30. It is still on. This is Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, right? Dude, I don't know that it's on until I see both of them in the ring, right? It's going to be one of those kind of deals. It's Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Nobody would be surprised if at the very last minute they're like, it's canceled. Canceled. All right, what else do we have here? Did you guys see this? Apparently this happened over the weekend. I did not see it, and that sucks because I love this kind of shit. But apparently we had a big meteor. See the big meteor here in Texas over the weekend? Here, let's see what this is all about. Is this the one with commentary? There's one with commentary. I like it because I imagine that the commentary is I like to imagine that the commentary is being done by a boyfriend and girlfriend and they're camping and they're not really getting along, but then they see this. And so now they're going, anyway, here you go. This was seen over Texas on Saturday night. There's a whole bunch of different videos of it. Apparently it was quite spectacular. I did not see it. I don't know when it happened. I don't know, maybe overnight. Didn't happen while I was walking the dog, that's for sure. Because I always look for the, celestial phenomena when I'm out there walking the dog at night. Here we go.
I got it.
What the fuck is that? Dude, what the fuck is that?
What is that?
What the fuck is that?
Yo!
What are we looking at?
Wow, what the heck? What is it?
These are all the videos. These are pretty cool. So did any of you guys see that? Did any of you guys see any of this stuff on Saturday night? Apparently it was visible over North Texas. I don't know. All right, there you have it. That is very, very interesting celestial phenomena occurring over Texas over the weekend. I once saw a meteor, and that's what they're saying that is. That's what they're saying. I don't know. I once saw one of those, and I mean, I'll never forget it. I've seen shooting stars, but you know the difference between seeing a meteor or asteroid skip off the Earth's atmosphere and then bounce back into space. It's a very different visual phenomena. It was what they were showing there. Very different than a shooting star. Shooting stars are you blink, they're gone. These things, you get to see them for a good, 2-3 seconds before they go. That's long enough for the human mind to go, okay, to process everything, to really appreciate you're witnessing something cool. Not a shooting star. Shooting star, you're like, wait. Did I just see? Did I see a shooting star? Well, I'll just make a wish anyway. So I was driving, it's probably mid-90s. I was driving down 100. This means nothing to anyone, maybe 3 people listening. So I'm driving westbound on 157th Street between 80th Avenue and 86th Avenue in the subdivision that I guess would be called Catchy. To my right were a whole bunch of softball and soccer fields. Giant, massive, open area, probably 50 soccer fields. So it's the place in the community where, on Saturdays, all the parents come and, there's kids and kids soccer and all the big, giant community area with soccer fields. Okay. So I'm heading down 157th and I look up in the sky and I just see this thing streaking across the sky. And I initially thought it was a plane crashing because it was so vivid and so big and seemed to be so quick. And then it just jumped up in the sky. And then I was like, oh, wait, what is this? And then it jumped again. And I finally got what it was. It was an asteroid. And it was doing that thing. Have you ever skipped a stone? Well, of course you have. It was skipping. It was a giant meteor or an asteroid, and it was skipping across our atmosphere. And it was literally like watching a rock skip across water. It was truly cool. And it only lasted for like 2 or 3 seconds, as I said. But afterwards, I remember, and I was so detailed about the soccer fields because I pulled over on the side of 157th, and I was just like, that was fucking cool. And I'm like, what? Because you still think about it. You're like, wait, what was that? Anyway, I missed it on Saturday night. But I can die. I can die knowing that I've at least seen an asteroid skip off the Earth's atmosphere just while driving down the road. Probably listening to some spin doctors or I don't know what was big in 95 or whatever. Some Counting Crows. All right, how about the AP? The AP, another crazy week of football, come and gone. The AP's got their new top 25 out, and I can go through them all, but nobody cares about the top 25. What we care about is where's Texas? Hook 'em! Where's Texas? Where's Texas in the new AP? Let's go through the list, shall we? Number 1 in college football as we head into the money games. That's right, now we're talking about the playoffs. Now we're talking about who's in, who's out. Number 1 for the 4th week in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. It's Oregon. Hold on. Where's the AP top 25? Do I have the full list? Let me see. Support this article. Oh, shut up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Oregon, the Mighty Ducks. Oregon's number 1 for the 4th week in a row. Big Ten. Boom, bitches. You SEC bitches. Number 2 in the nation is Ohio State. Big Ten. Boom, bitches. You SEC bitches. Number 3 is Texas. All right, SEC. All right. Look, we're going to invite anybody to this playoff party from that way overrated division. It's going to be Texas because we like them horns. Welcome to the party. Number 3, Texas. Number 4 in the nation, Penn State. Them molesting Lions. Woo! Big Ten. SEC, suck it. Number 5 in the nation. Undefeated, too, by the way. Undefeated at 10-0. Number 5 in the nation. How about them Hoosiers? University of Indiana. Number 5. Big Ten. Suck it. SEC. And the reason I say this is because, look, I understand the dominance of the Saban era down there. It's down there. Look, I understand that college football has essentially been dominated by 3 guys. Saban, Sweeney and Kirby, right? That's it. And they're all in the SEC. And so for years, everybody's like, the SEC, you ain't any good. Now I'm a kid from the upper Great Lakes. I'm a Midwest boy. And in those parts, we play a different kind of football. It's very boring. It's very boring. It's designed to be played in outdoor fields that are frozen, slow, sloppy. But we'll punch you in the mouth football. We call it the Big Ten. Now all of a sudden, the Big Ten's got teams like Oregon in it. I don't know what that's about. I barely recognize Penn State as a Big Ten team, but we'll take it. And USCC freaks, go S&D. This is the Big Ten's year. Let's go! Yes. It bothers me to no end that we're still calling it the Big Ten. It bugs me. There's like 25 teams. We still call it the Big Ten. The Big Ten has literally absorbed essentially all of the Pac-10, and we're still calling it the Big Ten. Whatever. Hey, there are no rules in Trump's America. And this shit started like in Obama's America. That's where they first started going, it doesn't matter. We're going to keep calling it the Big Ten. Doesn't matter. But there's like 17 teams now. Doesn't matter. We don't care. We just keep calling it Big Ten. We got the branding. We don't want to pay for like new business cards, stuff like that. Big Ten. We're staying with it. All right, let's talk a little bit about football in general. How are my Cowboy fans feeling? Oh, my God. I truly, hold on. Oh, yeah. I went to my next flag. It's a different flag because we're inside the 2 hours. All right, so I can't believe this happened. I cannot believe. I mean, I know it's stupid. It's like, what do you mean you can't believe it happened? No, I sincerely can't believe that it just happened and played out so perfectly as predicted by so many people. Because that's the thing. A lot of people said this was going to happen because they understand how, the sun works. But of course, we're talking about the situation with the glare at AT&T Stadium. For those of you who are unfamiliar, and in these moments, I'm always thinking of my friends in Chicago and stuff like that who are listening. The Dallas Cowboys play at AT&T Stadium. AT&T Stadium is apparently the only stadium in the NFL that runs east to west. I didn't know this, but okay. Again, not my area of expertise. I've never built an NFL stadium, so apparently all NFL stadiums are north to south. But Jerry wanted his east to west. The reason NFL stadiums are built north to south is for a very serious and obvious reason, and that is that they don't want games to be affected by setting suns. Setting suns, if the stadium was built east to west, the end zones would be affected by setting suns. And that's, so they built, just to troubleshoot that, just to eliminate that off the table of things they got to worry about. It's just a good rule of thumb to build your stadiums north to south. Not Jerry. Jerry built his east to west, and then he made his ends all glass. So, of course, this has been a problem for years. The Cowboys, God love them in their national brand status, the Cowboys play a lot of afternoon games. The Cowboys are a central time zone team. They should be playing all of their games at noon, but they're the Dallas Cowboys. And so the networks tend to slate them in the more high-profile afternoon game, very often the game of the week. Cowboys, because everybody loves them Cowboys. So what happens when a football game starts at 3:30? Well, roundabout the same predictable time, the sun is going to begin to set. And because of the way the stadium is set up, the sun sets and it creates this Jesus-like glare that comes directly through the west end zone. And if you happen to be driving the ball and if you are heading towards the west end zone, you're screwed. And, do we have a glare pic? Here's a pic just for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. And by that, I mean my friends who maybe aren't Cowboy fans listening from other locations. This is a good example of the glare. Okay. So there you go. There you see it. So that is the Dallas Cowboys trying to drive downfield into that glare. What that means is, receivers may not see the ball. The quarterback may not see the receivers. It is a big problem. And it's also, which is the good news, a real easy problem to fix. But wait, friends, that's not all. All the things needed to fix it are right there. You don't even got to call anybody. You know what you got to do? You got to get a janitor or a maintenance guy, and you got to tell him, hey, Pedro, close the curtains, because there's curtains. This does not have to be a thing, but it is. They got curtains. So I don't know what this is really. Jerry likes it. Jerry apparently thinks that it's not a problem. Apparently, Jerry is, I don't know, is this a Christian thing? Is this like Jesus has got to watch the games? So after it having been a factor a few weeks back, this town, sports radio pundits and whatnot, they've all been talking about it. They're glaring, why don't they close the curtain? Close the curtain. It's like a thing now. Like everybody in this town is like, close the fucking curtain, Jerry. And Jerry's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm a billionaire. I can do what I want. I like it. I'm going to do it. So yesterday in the game, there was a situation where it obviously affected what would have been a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. I'll show you this. Here is the slow-mo. This is, there's a couple of different versions of it, but I like the slow-mo because, of course, why wouldn't I? So here's a touch. The Cowboys got blown out, by the way, again yesterday because they're absolutely terrible. But this would have been a touchdown. This should have been a Dallas Cowboys touchdown. But unfortunately, they were throwing into the sun, and CeeDee Lamb, looking directly into the sun, did not see a ball that was right in his arms. Didn't see it. Missed it completely. So here we go. This is the slow-mo of CeeDee Lamb. So this happened yesterday, and this is what I mean when I say I can't believe this happened. Everybody has been complaining about how this might happen, and here we are. It happened. Now you see the throw. Look, CeeDee has no idea where it is. Yeah, what? Now look at him. He's like, I can't see, man. I can't see. Oh, is there any sound on this? No, I don't think so. Okay, one more time. So there you go. CeeDee's like, did he throw it? I can't. And then it falls right between them. He immediately is like, I can't see that shit. Threw that right into the sun. The thing is, Jerry Jones, the owner of the team, can call Pedro, and Pedro can close the drapes. But now it's a billionaire pissing match where Jerry doesn't like that he's being told what to do with his fancy little toy, the AT&T Stadium. So now we've got all this. So what did Jerry say about it? Here we go. Jerry, let's watch this. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones has a meltdown over sun issues at the stadium. Now, he didn't have a meltdown over sun issues at the stadium. He had a meltdown because he doubled down on the idea that the sun isn't a problem. And then just yesterday in the middle of the game, the sun was a problem, and he's caught. And he has a massive ego, and his ego doesn't allow him to admit when he's caught because he's also shady. That's how he became such a successful businessman. He would never admit when he's caught if there's still any slim possibility of being able to get what he wants. That's how billionaires operate. So, of course, it's after the game. He's embarrassed that it actually happened like this, so obviously. And also that CeeDee was like, fucking, I can't see. CeeDee did him no favors. He's mad. Post-game, here's Jerry Jones. The Dallas Cowboys have many, many problems on the football field right now, and another ugly 34-6 loss at home to the Eagles on Sunday. Their playoff chances have completely been cooked. Their issues, however, extend well beyond the football field. They go as far as 93 million miles away to that big flaming ball of hydrogen known as the sun. The issue became pretty big talking points on Sunday as several players, including Cowboys players, were being blinded by the sun that was shining in through the open windows in the red zone or in the end zone. It was a problem And at one point, it cost Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb a touchdown because he literally could not see the ball. Now, we saw that, so I won't show you that again. But you also have to understand, this isn't new. Like this, Jerry Jones is trying to argue that like, the sun's always been there. It's never been a problem before. No, it has. People have been complaining about this forever. Forever, Jerry. And it's just now, for some reason, it's, everybody's pissed at you, man. And this just seems like such a simple fix. Close the fucking curtains. But he won't, because a billionaire owner of the Dallas Cowboys doesn't do what peasants tell him. That's what it is. It's a pissing match now. The issue of the sun at AT&T, the issue became a pretty big talking point Sunday as several players, including members of the Cowboys, were being blinded by the sun that was shining. It even cost CeeDee Lamb a touchdown. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who was probably already in a pretty bad mood after watching his team get humiliated on its home field again, went on a rant for the ages about the situation after the game and refused to listen to any reason in the discussion. So I don't have audio of this. Is there audio of this? I looked for it, although admittedly I didn't look all that hard. All right, so here, I guess I'm going to read you what Jerry Jones said. I wish I knew. Here's what Jerry Jones said about the problem with the sun. Again, a problem that can be solved by calling Pedro, having him hit a button, and closing the fucking blackout curtains that you use for concerts and other sporting events and all of the shit that happens at that place when the Cowboys aren't playing. Call Pedro, hit the button, close it. That's all they need to do. Remember, that's what he's answering to. Jerry, just do that. Jerry, just call Pedro, hit the button. And I know Pedro isn't real. He's just, one of these characters you create when you're telling a story. Here's what he says to the question, why not put the curtains closed over the windows? Here's what Jerry Jones said. Well, let's tear the damn stadium down and build another one. Are you kidding me? Everybody has got the same thing. Every team that comes in here has the same issues. And then he goes in to say, I'm saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. Someone asked me about the sun. Well, what about the sun? Where's the moon? He's in denial. He's in denial. Jerry, wondering if for the next home game you might consider closing the curtains. Why don't we just tear the whole stadium down? Why don't we just... Oh, you baby. That is a baby. That was his thing. Jerry, close the curtains. Hey, Jerry, can you do me a favor? Can you close the curtains? Oh, why don't you just ask me to tear the whole stadium down? This fucking guy. This is nuts. We're going to kill him. We're going to kill this guy. Cowboys going to kill this guy. This guy's an old man. He can't be doing this shit. All right. Also in Cowboy world, how about this? We got more bad Cowboy news. Did you see Micah Parsons? I guess they talked a little bit to Micah Parsons after the game. Good to see Micah back out there. Good to see him. Micah Parsons don't want to be here. Micah Parsons wants to get his ass out of here. Go play for, I don't know, Chicago Bears. Yeah, let's do that. Come on, Micah. Come on over, man. While you on the other side, Sweat on one side, you're going to solve our lopsided edge rush problem. Come on, Micah. Chicago Bears, man. You want to be one of the great defensive players in the history? You come to the Chicago Bears. You come to the Chicago Bears, come to the Ravens, you come to the Steelers. You come to the Chicago Bears, one of the great defensive teams. More people in the Hall of Fame than anybody else. Every goddamn class, Micah, has a Chicago Bear going in. Last year, I think we got 3. Come on, Micah. Come to the Chicago Bears. We'll give you the fucking crazy-ass contract you want. We will. I don't know if you've seen. We got a whole bunch of, really talented young players on rookie deals. We can pay you, Micah, and we'd be happy to do so. We did it a couple of years ago with Khalil Mack. We did it with Brian Urlacher. We kept him around. Come on, Mike. All right, Mike is upset. This is Mike in the Cowboys locker room. This is interesting. Now, we'll listen to what he said, and then we'll go back and see if you pick up on what the problem is and why this is such an interesting comment from Micah.
Final year of his contract, so outside there's of course going to be questions. What's the sentiment inside the locker room, and what do you tell people who are wondering about whether McCarthy will be your coach next year?
You know, that's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But, you know, all coaching aside, coaching, you know, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys, I kind of feel bad for is guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, you know, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You know, you want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
All right. So did you, I like Micah, first of all, but that was an obvious for guys who put in more hard work than Mike McCarthy ever did. That's Micah Parsons. He's a team leader. He's one of your superstars. You have lost him. That wasn't a misspeak. That was him saying, look, I don't know if they asked the question, do you have a divided locker room? But you listen to what Micah said right there, and that is a divided locker room. I care more about Zach than I do the coaches. That is a divided locker room. How is Mike McCarthy still the coach? Let's listen to this one more time. Very cool teammate shit there, especially for a guy on the defensive side of the ball, calling out Zach Martin. That's very cool, Micah. But make no mistake, Micah is telling us there is a divided locker room. And I don't give a shit about Mike McCarthy. Like, essentially, he's polished. He's a professional. But, I mean, if he was allowed to just do the whole body language thing, I believe it would sound a little something more like, man, I don't give a shit where Mike McCarthy goes next year. He can go wherever the fuck he wants. You know who I care about? I care about guys like Zach Martin, legends like that. That's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. I don't care about Mike McCarthy. That's what I think he basically said here, except he said it like a polished professional athlete.
Mike's on the final year of his contract, so outside there's of course going to be questions. What's the sentiment inside the locker room, and what do you tell people who are wondering about whether McCarthy will be your coach next year?
You know, that's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But, you know, all coaching aside, coaching, you know, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys, I kind of feel bad for is guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, you know, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You know, you want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
All right. Micah Parsons doesn't give a about his head coach. That's interesting. All right, Cowboys are in free fall. I stand by. Weeks ago, I said, look, I think it was after like the second time they got blown out by 40 points or some shit. I said, tear it down, man. I don't know what the hell they did. I mean, okay, maybe they're going to try and just, you know, play it through the season, let the chips fall where they may. But I was saying before the trade deadline, man, you could get rid of these guys. Get rid of Dak. Look, you get a chance to get rid of, you get Dak. Dak's having season-ending knee surgery. All right. So now, you know, you're not going to get everything you could have got for him in the offseason. You ran him into the ground. You could have traded Dak 2 weeks ago. You signed him up. You got a quarterback. He's a good quarterback. A lot of teams in this league would have had him. Could have signed Dak up 2 weeks ago. You could have gotten multiple number ones, I bet. But now you're not going to get Dick because he got hurt. You're stuck with him, which, you know, I'm a Dak guy. I like Dak. I don't think it's a bad thing to be stuck with him. However, in my 15-year-old son's grand play, Cowboys need to trade Dak, CD, and Micah And absolutely anyone else that will return them draft picks. And then they just need to do a youth movement. They got to go into the draft. That draft night, do you remember a couple of years ago? Now this didn't work out, but like a couple of years ago, I think we went into draft night and like the Oakland Raiders had 3 first-round picks. And I remember thinking, oh, fuck, that would be awesome. I mean, last year the Bears had 2 in the top 10, and that was awesome. But I'm telling you, Cowboy fans, there ain't nothing better than just having just nothing but loot on draft night. And you're like constantly like in that first night, the first night, not like, Saturday at 10 in the morning with welcome to round 4 of the like round 1, top 10 picks. That first night when your team is like, boom, we're on the clock again. Let's go. That's exciting. Cowboys should do. Cowboys should trade Micah. They should get a whole bunch of draft capital for him. They should trade CD. They should get a whole bunch of draft capital from him. Can't do it now, though, till the end of the season. Anyway, they could get hurt. See, that's the thing. You used to have 3 guys that you could have traded for really great draft capital to rebuild. Now you only got 2 because you didn't pull the trigger on this plan before the trade deadline. Now you only got 2 because no matter what, Dak Prescott, you can still trade him and someone will take a flyer, but he's a dude coming off a surgery. He ain't going to get you what he would have got you 2 weeks ago. If you'd have been like, we'll trade Dak and go with Cooper Rush. And like Dak Prescott is like the quarterback for who? Like the Vikings now or Dolphins, whatever. I don't know. But no, Jerry didn't do that because Jerry's not a good GM. CC says Belichick will be here next year. Yeah, he probably will. Absolutely, man. Totally could see that. Totally. Bill Belichick absolutely will be here next year. That is absolutely the kind of thing Jerry Jones would do. Yeah. Good. Get him there. Because I'll tell you, my team is going after Ben Johnson. Go ahead, Cowboys. Get Bill Belichick. And hope that you've got a Tom Brady for him. Because let me tell you, Bill Belichick's track record without Tom Brady is horse shit. Horse shit. So, but yeah, go ahead, Cowboy Nation. Get yourself all ginned up over the shiny new fucking classic automobile in your driveway that doesn't fucking run anymore. Bill Belichick, if that's what you want, if that's what you think is going to get you to another Super Bowl, Bill Belichick cashing dumbass billionaire checks as he rides into the sunset with his 23-year-old girlfriend, have at it. But Bill Belichick ain't fucking fixing the Cowboys. I'm sorry, I know I just swore again. Bill Belichick is out of football for a reason. My God. What about me? My Bears. We gotta fire our head coach, Matt Eberflus. He gotta be gone today. He's gotta be gone today. Shane Waldron, our OC's gotta be gone today. So my point is this: Cowboys aren't the only team out there with some interesting talent that some high-profile coaches would go, oh. And I got to be honest with you, my big freaking fear, because there's a lot of talk in Chicago as well, Bill Belichick would love to come in and take on Caleb Williams, and I'm like, keep him away from Caleb Williams. Tom Brady was a one-off. I don't know what that was, and you don't know what it was either. Nobody in the NFL history knows what that Tom Brady thing was. It was just lightning in a bottle. He wasn't supposed to be that good. Hell, I watched his whole career, and I'm like, he's not that good. And then he does something, and you're like, fuck, he's magic. So, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jerry. Shh. Nobody tell Jerry Jones about Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury. Nobody. Shh. I don't. It's like, how dare you mention Cliff Kingsbury in the same breath as the exalted Ben Johnson? No, Ben Johnson. I'm tired of this Ben Johnson guy. He's the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions. He's like the guy. Ben Johnson can go anywhere he wants next year. Apparently, except Detroit, because I think he'd like to be the head coach in Detroit. Ain't firing Dan Campbell. Woo! Not after last night's game. You guys see that last night? Detroit and the Texans? Two things. One, fuck Detroit. Jesus. That's a fun team. That's a fun team. I know they're in my division, but I don't have any real hatred for the Detroit Lions. I've always thought the Detroit Lions were cool. Like Detroit Lions, they always had like their star players my whole life growing up. They were always cool. Barry Sanders, Calvin, come up. Megatron, I even like Stafford for a period of time. They were fine. They were fine. Remember the Dan Orlovsky era in Detroit? I like Detroit. I like Detroit. This is a real football team. This is the realest football team I've ever seen that calls themselves the Detroit Lions. And I've seen all of them, at least since like the mid-1970s when I signed up for membership in the NFC North Fandom Club. And I've watched the Lions twice a year. I mean, I'm good for them, is my point. I don't feel the same way about as a Bears fan, I do not feel the same way about the Lions as I do about, say, the Green Bay Packers, who are just, the worst, or the Minnesota Vikings, who are just like, man, you're not even Green Bay. You're like the worst, but you're like a poor man's Green Bay. You're like a generic Minnesota. You're like, my hatred for you is like a generic version of my hatred for Green Bay. That's who you are, Vikings. Anyway, you can tell I don't like them. But I've never had a problem with the Detroit Lions. And man, was that crazy fun last night. Okay, so here's the other thing I want to say. Detroit came back and won. Like they were getting their doors blown off by the Houston Texans. Hold on a second. Let me see. I want to see something else I'm looking for. What was the final? There it was. 26-23 was the final. Sunday Night Football. Detroit Lions over the Houston Texans. So here's what I wanted to mention about the Houston Texans. Why on earth, and I know you're all going to agree with me, why on earth would the Houston Texans ever again wear any uniform that isn't that uniform they were wearing last night? Those were the most badass uniforms in NFL history. Holy, did you see those Houston Texans? Let me see them. They look so cool. Blood red top and bottom with the new helmets with a new logo. Oh, my God. Well, let me see. Let me go see if we get a good picture of them. God, they looked cool. Here we go. All right, let's see here. Show me what they look like on a player. Of course, I can't get a full top to bottom look at the player. I don't know, whatever. And where are the ones? These aren't the ones from last night. Show me the ones from last night. They won't show me. Okay, these are the ones from last night. Here we go. Anyway, that's the best we're going to be able to do with these pictures. Anyway, these Texans uniforms are badass. Showstoppers, baby. Look at those helmets. Look at that logo. What is that? I don't even know what that logo is. Yeah, they look like a college team. I don't care. Those are the best uniforms in NFL. You know what would make them even cooler? See the stripes on the sides? See the stripes? Get rid of the stripes. Get rid of any stripes, any piping. Just head to toe blood red. I just want nothing but straight up Penn State except all red. Just red helmet, like metallic red. That cool color red. That color red is awesome. Look at those helmets. That color red helmet. No markings, no nothing. Red jersey, just numbers in black, fine. Maybe red on red. Maybe scarlet on blood. Oh! You know why? You know why? Because red is an emotional color. Red is a color that brings out the absolute baddest intentions in people. It's true. It's true. It's a rage color. I don't got time to go into it with you, but that's a true thing. It's a true thing. Crazy people. Crazy. They don't use the color red in they used to have insane asylums. They don't use the color red because it's a rage color. People go nuts if they're stuck in red. All right, that's gonna do. No, you know what? We got one more thing. Did anybody see Saturday Night Live over the weekend? Saturday Night Live over the weekend kind of sucked. Gotta be honest with you, kind of sucked. It's Weekend Update was okay. I watched Saturday Night Live for I watched Saturday Night Live for the open, the cold open, the thing before the credits. It's Saturday Night Live, you know, the thing before that. And I watch it for, pre-produced stuff now. Occasionally, if the musical guest is somebody I'm interested, I watch for that. And then I watch it for the news. And also, I love the last two sketches. Whatever the last two sketches are. The things that come on typically after the second musical performance. There's almost always two sketches, and they're almost always the edgiest, the weirdest, the one they were like, there might be something genius to this, but I don't know if anyone will get it. Let's put it on the end of the show. That stuff. The weird stuff usually is there. So pound for pound, it sucked. I guess it sucked. There was one thing, though. Bill Burr, people were like, Bill Burr was the host. People were like, Bill Burr did this was the greatest stand-up ever. And Bill Burr that was average at best. Average at best. I love Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr's like, I love Bill Burr. I mean, quite frankly, I've had people say this to me before, and I take it as an honor, and maybe I'll lean into it a little bit more. But people have told me your attitude is very similar to that of Bill Burr's. Now, he's much funnier. But, that's just like done with the bullshit kind of attitude. And I'll take that. So Bill Burr was the host. He's very funny. He's very funny. He's always funny. He's like one of the great stand-up comedians in history at this point. I mean, not only one of the most relevant and successful stand-up comedians of this generation, but yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at his body of work, he's one of those historical guys. Bill Burr, one of the greats. Everybody's like, oh, his stand-up for monologue was best any. And I'm like, have you people never seen Bill Burr? Because when I watched it, I was like, this is good. It's Bill Burr. It's typical Bill Burr. It's good. It's not great. I'm like, best? You don't know Bill Burr if you think that's the best. Anyway. There was a commercial. They do the fake commercials, the pre-produced things where you think you're watching a commercial, but it's not. It's been a long-standing Saturday Night Live tradition from the very beginning. They did a real funny one, and they did a real funny one because, of course, it's Bill Burr. Now, Bill Burr is a working-class guy from Boston. That's who he is. That's kind of the thread of who Bill Burr is. No matter how famous he becomes, he's a working-class guy from Boston. And they did a parody commercial of Buffalo Wild Wings. It was actually, they name-checked Buffalo Wild Wings. So it's a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial about, coming out and watching the game at Buffalo Wild Wings. And, Saturday Night Live, if they do 10 sketches, it's very common that 9 of them will be very forgettable. But then if they give you one good thing a week, it's worth it. I think this was the one good thing we got this week on Saturday Night Live. Buffalo Wild Wings, the Saturday Night Live football ad. All right, here we go. Let's watch this. Oh, crapola. I got to share it. I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing it. Here we go. Saturday Night Live, Buffalo Wild Wings ad starring Bill Burr. There you go. Now it makes sense. Look at that. They're even using the logo.
Buffalo Wild Wings is the place for NFL football. Whether you're jacked for the Giants.
This is our year, baby.
Crazy for KC.
Winning really works up an appetite.
Or pumped for the Patriots.
How the do you miss that? It's right in front of you.
Real fans are telling you why Buffalo Wild Wings is their go-to game day destination.
I'm here for the $5 drafts.
I'm here for the wings.
I'm here because my wife says I bring tension to the house.
Where else can I get the best wings while watching the best team?
It's up to me. I'd be watching the game in my mansion, but you know, I was born white in this country 50 years too late. Oh, let's go! Game's not over yet. I was supposed to drop Lexi off at her mom's 40 minutes ago, Pop. Hey, it's not my fault you don't pull out.
And game day just got even hotter with all new sauces like scorching golden fire.
Ooh, I'm gonna need to turn on one of them ice baths after this.
Plus, special deals dropping every Sunday on the Buffalo Wild Wings app.
Oh, it's half off draft beers for the next hour. I just got the alert on my phone.
And with Red Zone on every TV, I never miss a play. Just another way Buffalo Wild Wings and football go together.
You seriously think Belichick wouldn't come back? Hey, sweetheart, I gotta tell you something. Your father is a douchebag. Oh, come on! Don't say that word around it. Oh, what? Now you're telling me what to say? Huh? Is that what you're doing? Yeah, didn't think so. I never want to talk to you ever again. Forgot something? Yeah, there he is, everybody. Father of the year.
Real football fans agree.
Game day's better at Buffalo Wild.
Nothing pisses my wife off more than me relaxing.
All right. Jeez, that's funny. That's I'm here because my wife says I bring tension to the house. That's funny. There he is, everybody. Father of the year. There he is. Brilliant. That was brilliant. Bill Burr is funny. And I'm really glad to see him becoming an actor. Like more, you know, a lot of people don't realize how long that Bill Burr has been around. Bill Burr started doing stand-up comedy. He was grinding it out on the national comedy scene starting in the 1990s, where you would see him as a middler for somebody who was bigger, you know, something like that. But then, I mean, you guys realize that he's the play-by-play guy in the Dave Chappelle racial draft sketch. You know, the famous, I mean, as far as comedy goes, that is that's like Freebird. That's like Hey Jude. I mean, as far as like comedy, Dave Chappelle's racial draft sketch is like one of the most highly thought of. That's Bill Burr with hair. Bill Burr is the play-by-play guy. I mean, it's good to see Bill Burr sort of now after finally breaking through as a stand-up comedian, actually doing dramatic acting and becoming an actor and being taken serious as an actor because he's good. Comedians are oftentimes the absolute best actors. And there's a very, very sad reason for that. And that is because most comedians are miserable people who have to act all the time in their lives. Like everything's funny and everything's a good thing and everything's that. They're highly skilled actors long before they ever try to be actors. It's one of the things about being a damaged comedian. All right, there you have it. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm done. Look at this, man. We did an extra long show, and I'm glad that you hung out with me. I appreciate you indulging me. We'll be back tomorrow. Be cool with everybody. You know, don't be a dick. Don't fucking, somebody wants to merge. Here's today's homework assignment. You're out there on the road. Somebody's got their signal on and they're trying to merge in front of you. Let that person in. That's it. That's your assignment. Well, you can't do your homework? Well, then you're obviously an asshole. All right. Love you guys. We are Radio Misfits Dallas. I'm Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E Gallery. It is RadioMisfits.com.